Well, hello everyone. Happy Easter to you. Or hopefully everybody had themselves a good Sunday. Of course, it's Monday for me. But nevertheless, ooh, can I speak today? It is a gorgeous day out with a pretty good temperature. Starting to get it warm up a little bit though. I do have a full cup of hot coffee. However, Thundero will be a tad late, but that's all right. We're going to get into talking a little bit about Easter first anyway. First things first, go over here, hit that like and share button. Let everybody know that we're on here. Of course, I'm assuming everyone is, if depending what you eat on Easter. If you didn't eat turkey, which would probably be good, you might still be awake. Yeah. Anyway, let me go over here and hit this. Very nice. All right. Yeah, Twitter doesn't have a lot of cute, fun stuff on it recently. All right, hit that, and then I'll say welcome and happy Easter. Oh, very good. All righty. Nevertheless, Easter, of course, is always a lot of fun. It's one of those really good family days. Of course, Americans celebrate our things maybe a little bit differently than other people. But of course, Christmas is always fun. Halloween, Thanksgiving. It's nice getting together. I just never cared for the food very much. We don't really care about New Year's, whereas other people around the world are way more serious about it. President's Day is for buying appliances. Mm. Of course, 4th of July, Independence Day is always fun because we go out in mass to the parks, have barbecue with our neighbors, and then watch fireworks at night, or at least that's what we did when I was in my areas. And that's pretty much it. We got Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and those are parades basically. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there are a couple others in there but we don't really do much for them. Those are the big ones that we do stuff with. And Easter, I always really enjoyed that one, and probably more so as a father than any of the others. Christmas is cool, but it's just you, the wife, and the kids. Um, as an adult, I've lived in Japan, so there's no Thanksgiving here. That's once again just a family thing. Halloween is there's some stuff to do here in Japan, but it's not like back home. However, Easter was something that really kicked off with my family. Even though there's no practicing Christians in the house. Of course, it's just Spring Festival anyway. But of course, I've told you the story where my daughter had friends and they wanted to come over and see what this Easter was. So as the years went by, I kept having to buy more and more Easter baskets and more chocolates and sneaking amongst a bunch of sleeping kids to put baskets all around the room and hide eggs, etc., etc. But they did love it. So that was as a father, I think that was the most fun for me is Easter. And my wife would make all kind of Easter foods, and we do all kind of fun stuff. But back in the States, of course, we did way more than that. Particularly if you were connected to a church, right? You might have an Easter egg hunt at the church. Sunrise service, of course, was always good. Breakfast with the community or the congregation, I guess would be the word. I know that at one place we were, because I did move around, the church had a uh, greased pig chases. And what that meant was they had a fenced in area. They let a little piglet go, and literally the kids would chase and try to catch the pig. And I guess the concept is you fatten up the pig for the coming winter event or something like that. Nevertheless, there are many things you can do on Easter. So I thought we'd first start out today by taking a look into that. And of course, Sunday is going to be a little bit late, so it works out kind of perfect. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see what we got for 17 Easter traditions here from Reader's Digest. Now, that's been around a long time. I'm not sure if they've stuck with the times and become progressive or not, but I remember my grandmother got this like what every week, every month, I don't know. But there were a lot of Reader's Digest around my grandmother's house. But let's see what we got here. So celebrating Easter on Sunday. Now, most of us in America anyway associate Easter with you know Christianity, right? Of course, it's not. It's much older than that. But they've come together, and that's great. But it is interesting why we celebrate it on Sunday and which Sunday, because it does move around. And it tells you right here. If you have to check your calendar every year, there's a good reason. Easter is a movable feast. Its date changing based on a few variables. In the year 325, which of course is the Council of Nicaea, determined that Easter would occur on the first Sunday after the first full moon following the spring equinox. Fair enough. Unless that happened to interfere with the Passover, in which case the holiday would be the Sunday after that. Yep, it's confusing. In short, Easter can occur anytime between March 22nd and April 25th. This year it's today, April 20th. Pretty sure today's the 20th. Yeah. In short, Easter can occur anytime between March and I already read that. But you go to church, eat big dinners with loved ones, and lots of candy and fun and Easter games for kids. And that's true. There's always a lot of Easter games, isn't there? And I'm sure we're going to run into a few here. Of course, a big feast. This is after Lent, of course, and a lot of people will, after that fasting period, of course, will eat a lot on Easter. But to be fair, pretty much any holiday we have is an excuse to eat a lot. I mean, we make up entire festivals just to eat, and I'm here for it. hmm I mean, Mardi Gras coming into Lent is always great. Unfortunately, being in America, I don't really know how other places might do it. They must have something, but I only got to experience Mardi Gras when I was down in the southern states. The north and maybe the west doesn't do anything like that, which is unfortunate because Mardi Gras is great. That was good fun. And of course, if you have a family and you want to go check out Mardi Gras, if you've never seen it before, I would suggest the one in Mobile because the one in New Orleans, they have several, of course, and they're not all rowdy and lewd, with all the kind of sex stuff that goes on around that. They do have a couple that are more family oriented, but the Mobile ones, there are many, many, many of them, and they're all family oriented. So, and they're bigger anyway. I know everyone thinks of New Orleans as Mardi Gras, but actually Mobile's better. I've enjoyed both of them, but if you got a family and you want to take them to Mardi Gras, go to Mobile. Let's see here, but yeah, we eat food for everything, so that's not a big deal. Although I did enjoy the Easter Sunday breakfast after sunrise service. That was always kind of cool to see the whole congregation together eating. That was fun. Let's see here, giving back to the community. Yeah, there's usually a lot of things like that, helping out with something or doing a cleanup or something like that. But usually it isn't on the Sunday with the churches I went to as a kid. It's usually the week running up to it, like especially Saturday. You do some kind of thing like that, and that's cool. I think. Did your church you went to as a kid? Did you guys ever, do the charity work during the Easter week?
Oh, they did it all the time. It
Yeah,
was
well, you know what I
nonstop.
mean. Specifically for Easter, though. I mean, that's kind of a normal
No,
thing.
not really. I don't. Not. I mean, not really. They didn't really increase it or anything.
Yeah, we
They did
know
more
we had
outreach,
special.
like
Yeah.
more preaching and stuff. But other than that, no.
No, I remember we would.
Nothing too
I was a kid, so we would like box up stuff, and I remember Easter specifically. There was, a very focused, charitable thing. But I'm just going through a list of things that people do on Easter around the world to take
good.
a look at it.
Christians do on Easter. You know what I did on Easter, Chester?
What?
You know what I did? I spoke to the Lord, and
hmm
He said to me
He,
today,
uh,
and He's been saying it to me for weeks now, and it's starting to freak me out.
uh,
Something's going to happen in June, and I don't know what it is.
okay.
That's it. He gave me a premonition. He's been showing me the number six everywhere I look.
hmm
Six. There's sixes everywhere.
hmm
Every time I'm like, "Hey Lord, send me a sign of what's coming or anything." Right? Just send me a sign
Yeah, yeah.
about this six. I just get
Usually
six every time.
sixes in a row have another meaning beyond June.
Yes, but they're not in a row. These ones are typically just individual sixes out of nowhere. Like I'll watch this video and I'll be like, "Send me a sign about something, whatever it is." Right?
Mhm.
and all of a sudden the person will mention six again. Just there's here comes a six again. I'm like, what is going on with me and sixes lately?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
we'll keep our eye
Just
open.
saying.
This is going to be quite the year. We knew that. And of course, we
Saying.
just had Passover, which means that the Jews have, of course, sacrificed their red heifers and now are cleansing the tools. And I would imagine any day now, Donald Trump saying or doing something at the behest of Kushner, I would assume, something around the lines of saying that. The Israelis, the Jews have a right to build on the Temple Mount too, or something. Something's got to happen where he's going to justify them building. Because, yeah, I don't know if you know this, but the people that are either just Jewish or the Christians who support the Jews no matter what, yeah,
Yeah, the
um,
Zionists.
yeah, those guys, they think Trump is Cyrus. I don't know if you've been following that.
I've heard. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the reincarnation of Cyrus
reincarnation of
that's
Cyrus.
coming.
And well, it kind of works out because all the prophecy stuff, Trump kind of did it. Now, did Trump do that of his own volition with God's attention, or prodding? I don't know, but
Well, for some
yeah,
reason, the Lord above wanted that man to stay alive
it
because we
seems
all
so.
want. It's amazing how quickly people forget when they watch a miracle,
Yeah,
or they
of
just want to
course.
deny it. That was a miracle. I don't
r-
care. That was miraculous that he didn't get shot in the head.
Of course, and if you remember the story of Cyrus, he took a wound to the head and didn't die as well.
Yep, and so does the Antichrist. I'm just
It's
saying.
kind of convenient. I just want
That's
just I'm
just
just saying.
weird.
Anyway, but yeah, but so that's happening, and the Muslims aren't going to stand for that shit. So
No, you're gonna see
war,
terrorism like you've never experienced.
yeah, it's going to be wicked, wicked, wicked war. But we'll see. I kind of think a lot of leadership in some of those countries have gotten quite secular, though. We'll see.
Well, they've gotten quite bought out by the Zionists, is what they've gotten.
Fair enough.
Like the Saudis are completely in the Zionist pocket. Don't let them
Mm,
fool you.
yeah, that's true. But nevertheless, we'll see. It's going to be one of those years anyway. But you keep an eye out for that. If Trump has something where he signs one of his executive orders talking about something like that, keep your head on a swivel. That's all I got to say. Nevertheless, let's get back here. Giving back to the community, of course, is a very Christian thing to do. Matter of fact, the kind of only a Christian Protestant thing to do, really.
Correct.
Let's be fair.
Charity. Charity
Yeah.
is a command. It is not just something you do because you feel like it. It is one of the only things Christ commanded you to do is be
Yeah.
charitable. Take care of people. Take care of the sick and the poor. And that's why there's so many Christian charities. And most hospitals in America were founded by Christian organizations or the Catholics or the Lutherans or the
Yeah.
whoever. Um,
Yeah.
because they were literally commanded by their God to do so.
Yeah,
No other
no.
religion is
It's
like that.
very true.
None.
It is very true. Usually, when you see charity in other communities around the world, cultures, it's very local,
Right.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But
No,
yeah,
no.
the
It's
Christians
just a
are
different
more.
level.
Yeah, it's a different
Christ is
thing. Yeah,
going to
yeah.
all the world, and preach the gospel and disciple the nations.
Mhm.
He said that's the way it's a very specific word. He didn't say disciple the people, Chester. He said
No, he said the
disciple the nation.
nations, and he said also, "I shall soften their heart, not you." So don't be an asshole. God said that.
Correct.
He
Well, he
did.
didn't say the last part, but he did say the first part.
Anyway,
No,
now
the only
this
thing that
is.
Christians are supposed to do is go preach it and then teach it. That's it.
Yep,
Preach it and teach it. You
yep.
don't got to do anything. God will handle the
That's
rest.
right.
You just go
That's
do
a
what he said.
big difference between the Christians and the other religious groups, though, isn't it? Especially
Yes.
the Islamists, because they look at it differently. But nevertheless, the next one here on my list is eating a large omelet. Now, I remember growing up seeing this on TV quite a bit, and
Ooh,
I've never been involved with eating a large omelet, but I
I'm
have
not a
seen it.
fan of omelets. I mean, I'll eat some eggs. Don't get it twisted,
Well,
but I don't
that's
know
what
about
this is. I mean,
omelets.
come on, take a look at that. It's not an omelet, right? But I'm just saying, I have seen this as a kid. I've never
Interesting.
I've never experienced it. I don't know why. Let's see why. Maybe they'll tell us why. Um, you may have heard of this unique Easter tradition. I have. It originates in Buciarest, France, of course it does, and
Of
it
course, it's
said,
the
of
French.
course, it said that they are the chicken people, you know.
They're the
It said
worst.
to date back to Napoleon. Well, yes and yes. Okay, Napoleon's time on Easter Sunday, the Brotherhood of the Giant Omelet comes together to cook and serve a massive omelet to the
Oh,
community large enough to feed 2,000 people.
is this
Now,
Minecraft? What just happened? The Brotherhood of the Giant
I
Omelet. That
know.
sounds
Isn't
like
that
something
great?
right out of
Isn't that
Minecraft.
great? Well, that's fun though. Then that's what you want, just good-hearted fun. But I've seen this in America too. Like I said, not in my area, but on the news.
Probably, probably French people. Ugh,
Probably is. And
French.
America's got a lot of those pockets, you know.
Well, there was a time when America was almost French. In fact, it was
Was
very
mostly
French.
many areas.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, the influence was huge. I mean,
damn
but
French.
things, how times change for the better. Okay.
Yes, the English are far
Um,
superior. I'm just gonna
yeah,
say it right now. I'll say it right now. If I'm gonna pick a European peoples,
yeah.
English. Going
Well,
with the
they
English.
are the best backstabbers and connivers.
Yeah,
That's
I mean they're
true.
evil, but they're really good at it.
They
So
are.
the
No,
French
they're
the
the
French are
best at it.
evil, but they're bad at it. They're
That's
just not
true.
great at it. They
That's
screw
true.
everything up.
Yeah. The Germans just mope themselves into fascism
Yeah,
left and right, you know.
they're just really depressed all the time,
They're
and they
just
take it out on
mopey.
everybody else.
They do.
That's all.
Did you see the Germans now all of a sudden are very pro Russia? They love Putin now.
They love them some
Did you
Russia.
see
What a
that? I'm
surprise.
like, what the
Yeah.
hell? That I mean, I get it because they're suffering because of their break from Russia, but and I don't disagree. I'd like to see more of the world come around and say, yeah, you know what? Seeing as Ukraine did start the frickin' war in
Yeah.
2014, maybe they're responsible.
Yep.
Go figure.
I,
Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm on it.
yeah. I told you
But it'd
when I
be
was.
nice to see all of the ancient Germanic peoples come together.
It would be. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't. It might be bad for the others, but I wouldn't mind that. Seeing I am amongst their bloodly brotherhood. Yes,
I
but
want that.
I told you the other day that, or last time I think, or a couple times ago,
God.
that my adult students were kind of trying to confront me about the tariffs, and I gave them what for. Yeah,
What for?
I did, in both meanings, and of course they were going on and on about it. And of course, it just went into many many things, and obviously it fell onto Ukraine and Russia. And I was like, oh, okay, well, who started that war? And everybody said Russia. Uh-huh. I said, you guys all got those little teeny phony things there. They're little computers you see. They're connected to the library that is the internet. Why don't you get on there and search who started the war? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do it. Do it. Do it. Anyway, but eating a large omelet. Yeah. Cool.
Large omelet. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. I just never done it, but it sounds like fun. These kind of things are fun. You know, that's the problem with the world today, with the young people, and this is always kind of true, but it's just so extreme right now that it's lame. And it's like, well, yeah, most shit's lame, dude, but it doesn't mean it's not fun. You know, yeah, a lot of times when you want to put a lot of people together, it needs to be simple, right? Therefore, lame,
Yeah.
right? But these kind of things are great, man. Just get out there, have a laugh, eat a piece of the very, very badly cooked egg. You know, it's a good time. Anyway, but it's just people coming together enjoying festival, right? Now,
Yeah.
I've never heard of this. Have you ever heard of bonfires on Easter? I've never heard of this.
No, that's a new one on me.
You know,
Sounds Slavic. Sounds like a Slavic thing. Let's see.
also known as Paschal fire or Ostenfeuer. Oh, it's German, right? The Easter bonfire is a German. Oh, there we go. German tradition in which Christian communities create bonfires the night before Easter Sunday. Nice. It's a Easter Eve event. That's the first I've ever heard of those. To welcome the holiday, you can start your own Easter tradition by lighting a small backyard bonfire, roasting marshmallows or peeps, and enjoy. No, that doesn't sound good. And enjoying Easter treats with loved ones. Once again, bonfires are fun. You ever been to a bonfire?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I've been to
Numerous.
several. They're quite fun. I enjoy bonfires. It's a very simple thing, right? You usually do them when the colder weather, so it actually has some meaning. But yeah, bonfires are great. Yeah, just don't burn down your city or something. You know. But yeah, bonfires. I enjoy bonfires.
Good old fire.
We got a fire festival here every year. I think it's in February, which is the coldest month, of course. And it's over by the new bridge. We have many bridges, but we have one that's called the new bridge and one that's called the old bridge. Even though there's like 12 bridges,
Yeah.
I never bothered to ask why.
Humans and their obsession with fire.
Yeah, yeah. But the bonfire is cool. I go to it most years. Let's see what else we got here. We got now this what? Decorating an Easter tree. This must be some kind of equatorials.
Mm.
Would you like to read that one? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm eating.
Oh, okay. You may have seen colorful eggs hanging from trees. Nope, never have. And nope, those aren't poorly disguised Easter egg hunts. It's German. The German tradition of decorating trees and bushes with colorful Easter eggs, known as uh, Osterienbaum, Osterienbaum, is a stunning way to
Mhm.
welcome spring and add a festive touch to your home, inside or out. That's kind of cool. But I mean, to be honest, a lot of stuff we do with Easter is very German centric, and of course, a lot of people. I don't know why they just don't teach things properly in school, Thundero, because
Yep.
a lot of people misunderstand the whole Roman Empire thing. I should just do a special on it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because the thing is, the Roman Empire was a German empire. Let's be fair, right? It just what it is what it is. What you consider to be Rome today didn't become important till quite recently in as far as Roman history goes, right?
Yep.
But yeah, the Germans have lots of, keep in mind at that time, what you would call Germany would cover many other countries today, right?
Yes.
But that never heard of this one, but that's kind of fun, maybe. I prefer our
Maybe.
Easter egg hunt, to be honest.
It is a classic, the Easter
It
egg hunt.
is. It is. It is.
True
Uh,
hood classic.
Especially when you do it in a Critters movie. It's perfect. I love me some Critters, man. Now, how come we get all these remakes of good movies, which is stupid? You want to remake bad movies, right? But we don't get
Yep.
anything cool like new Critters or just, some cool stuff. We don't get anything cool, dude. We can't have good things, Thundero.
No good things.
Mm,
No good things for you, they said, Chester. They shan't be
yep,
giving them.
yep. Oh,
They shall
whatever.
not.
Let's move on to the next one here. Oh yeah, coloring Easter eggs. This is something we do. Something I did over here with the kids. I haven't done it recently, but I probably should. I mean, it's I used to do it all the time with the kids, and of course my kids, and of course as a kid. But yeah, it's fun. And I don't know the earliest one found, but we have Easter eggs. I'm pretty sure they found Easter eggs in Egypt, dude.
I'd imagine, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what the thing is with the eggs, but yeah.
well, the egg represents new life and all that kind of mysticism. But I don't know the entire history of the Easter egg, but I do know I've seen in just my studies really, really ancient Easter eggs. I mean,
Right.
real old stuff. This is not a new tradition. But then again, Easter is, of course, if you follow the name back from the Europeans, we call her Isis or Venus,
Mhm.
right? So it is a celebration of Venus. We have two, if you didn't know that. We have the bright, shiny, happy, nice Venus and the absolute horrid bitch Venus. The
Mhm.
nice, happy one, of course, is Easter, and the horrible, terrible, terrible one is what we call Christmas today. But
Mm.
those are both
Interesting.
Venus, holidays. And it's interesting a lot of we do a lot of things with gods being involved, sometimes many gods involved in one holiday over time. These days things become very commercialized, of course. But she's the only one I know of that has two. And I know a lot about a lot of cultures' history. But she's the only one
Yeah.
I know of that has two. Now, of course, you would say, well, what about Jesus, Chester? Well, he's kind of representing the same thing. Am I allowed to say that out loud? I don't know.
Jesus also cheats.
He does. He does.
He
But that's all right.
refuses to die.
Dude,
He says, "No.
he's the son of God. He's just like, screw
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I refuse. I
Yeah,
shan't be dying today."
yeah,
Well, I will die, but I will come back. Trust me. Watch.
that's right.
Watch me do it.
That's right.
Watch me do it.
That's right. But of course, if you understand with the Christmas and Easter, they both involve 3 days dead and rebirth, and
Yes.
it's talking about Venus. But anyway, Yeshua was a very nice man. It seems. Well, he was a bit violent too, though.
He didn't like
But he had
money
good
changers
reason.
in his
No, he
temple. He
didn't.
wasn't a fan of pawnbrokers and
To be
scam
fair,
artists in
I
his temple.
kind of wish we had him here. I think he'd be kicking a lot of bankers' ass, dude.
Oh, yeah, it'd be a problem for these
It
people,
would
I
be
think.
full on carnage.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
doesn't you see, because there used to be a time, Chester, where Christianity as a block understood that usury is a sin
it's not just
and
the Christians. Many other
should be illegal.
groups.
Well, the Muslims are still like that
Oh
and
yeah.
should be illegal. Um,
Dude, the
you
Hindis are
know
like that. The with the Brahmins and
Yep.
the Buddhist. I don't know if they used to do, it, but they are like that now. The only people I know that are anti-usury are the Jews.
Yeah, or pro usury. Yeah.
Yeah, pro usury. You're right. But yeah, no, that's a thing. And so I'd love someone to tell me when that changed because they're all about the usury now.
It used to be illegal in America even for a
You know,
long
it
time,
did. That's why
and
I'm kind of wondering when that shifted. And what usury means is if you charge more than 10% on any kind of loan, that's
yes.
considered usury.
And the
10% is the
Muslims go
maximum.
even further. Any interest isn't allowed in most Muslim countries. They
Yeah,
take
well,
it to the
that's a bit
maximum.
ridiculous, though.
Well, you can get rid of interest loans. They're not necessary. The only reason they're permitted now is because the entire system is built off debt. If our system wasn't built off of debt, you wouldn't need private interest loans. There'd be no
Sure.
reason for it.
But I mean, if you're going to have a bank as a private business enterprise, they need
Yep.
to be able to profit in some way or another. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, they
It
would.
is a thing.
They would have all sorts of fees and things,
Mhm.
which
Now,
some mortgages and stuff do anyway. So it's like, what are we doing here?
no, that's true. Yeah, but now the thing with it is that we're talking about modern stuff that we do. I do know during the I think Romans after Constantine did it, but for sure the Byzantines did it and continue doing it for quite a while. They would actually print special coins for Easter and give
Yes.
them out. Yeah, because keep in mind Easter was a very widespread thing for a very very long time, guys. This is not a new
Yes.
holiday. This is potentially one of our oldest holidays that we celebrate. To be fair, um,
It's probably, I mean, Christmas, it's gotta be number 2, I'd imagine, as far as most observed, right? You would
yeah,
think.
yeah, and because Christmas, we have a lot of data, historical data, archaeological and anthropological data that sends Christmas, that what we call it Christmas, but that holiday, going back to there's evidence that Neanderthals practiced it. That's
Right.
pretty far back.
That's a long way.
That's a long
That's
way.
a long way.
Easter's doesn't have that kind of evidence behind it, but still, yeah. So we'll go with number two. But yeah, it is widespread. The Byzantines, of course, keep in mind with the Byzantines, if you look at their old maps, the last we kind of got, because like I've said before on this channel many times, about 400 years ago, we know 200 years ago during the 19th century there were a lot of bad shit going on. We know that. Everybody
Mhm.
knows that. But 400 years ago, something real bad happened somewhere. I think it happened in the Americas, which is why nobody knew about it, right? And the
Yep.
Byzantine Empire by that time had got so long in the tooth that they were kind of weak. And I think we know there were a lot of little wars going on and people pushing back. I think that event just cracked them. And then by the time the Europeans had got to their power, it was already kind of dead, right? But my point, the reason I say that is because you can find remnants of Easter amongst the Native Americans, which is kind of weird,
Mhm.
right? And the
Mhm.
Chinese and the Japanese. Very interesting. But even though the Japanese say that they're kamikaze, that's where kamikaze comes from, by the way. It means God
Yep.
wind because Kublai Khan tried to attack and take Japan twice and failed twice. But here's a
Mhm.
problem when you look at the old, Byzantine or Tartarian maps. Japan is colored in as being part of it, though.
Uh-oh.
Uh oh.
Wait a minute.
Uh-oh. But you do find
Wait
remnants
a
of
minute.
Easter here in kind of odd ways. Yeah. Let's keep
Mm.
moving on here. Oh, getting a delivery from the Easter Bunny. Now, how old do you think that is?
Oh, I have no idea, but I'd imagine a while.
Hmm.
I wonder why it is bunnies though. Like, why of all animals is so associated with spring specifically? Do bunnies
Well,
hibernate? Are they hibernating
no,
animals?
no, I can explain
I
this
didn't
quite
think so.
easily. This is a symbol that's been used for the fertility of women for a very long time, and of course, Venus, or Europa, or Ishtar, Isis. She has many names. Inanna. Um, she is a god of vitality and a god of fertility, right? A lot of people see her as a sex goddess, but I mean, what is a sex goddess? A goddess of
Right.
fertility, right? And the thing with it is, if you take the urine of a woman and you give it to a female rabbit, and then you kill the rabbit and cut out its uterus, if it is swollen, the woman is pregnant.
Okay.
This is how we used no, that's true. It's how we used to determine pregnancy back in the old days. So
Interesting.
rabbits are directly connected to understanding pregnancy in humans. Now, honestly, you could just wait a few weeks, puke some, the stomach starts getting big, like, oh, she's pregnant. But they used to do that process. Let's see here what this says, though. Easter is named after Eustre, the pagan goddess that symbolizes fertility. It's Venus, dude. Bunnies are well known for their fertility, so the rabbit became associated with the goddess in the holiday. I just said this shit. In the ancient times, the festival to celebrate Eostre typically occurred in the spring, and that's also when rabbits breed. Oh, everything breeds in the spring.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Be right back real quick.
yep, the cartoon version of the Easter Bunny, which delivers chocolate and candy-filled Easter baskets to kids, is fairly modern adventure. Of course, it is. Popularized by marketing campaigns in the 20th century. I ain't got no problem with that. Chocolate baskets are great, and little bunnies. But I'm telling you what, I remember one year, all the little my daughter's friends. There must have been, I don't know, 8 of them. Maybe 8 of them. There was a lot of them. I had now you go out, you try to find 8 different bunny plushies. Go ahead, I challenge you. It's a pain in the ass. All right. Let's see here. Taking part in Easter egg hunts, of course, those are great. This is a Easter tradition. Nothing quite beats an Easter egg hunt for sure. Children and adults, grown-ups hide the eggs, and the kids gleefully search for them. The tradition started with Martin Luther. Okay, this is going back to the Protestant Reformation, 15th century theologian. The joy of the hunt was meant to symbolize the joy that Mary and Martha felt upon finding Jesus' tomb empty after he was resurrected. That's not really what the story says, Mr. Luther. They were a little bit terrified and scared and went running for help. Okay. These days, the eggs are more likely to be made of hollow plastic and filled with these. Now, screw that. Although that's probably better, filled with Easter candy and toys, a much more fun surprise than a hard-boiled egg that's been sitting out in the sun too long. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Sorry, Chester. I'm also watching WrestleMania on my TV, so
I'm going to cover
just
WrestleMania here a little bit.
give you a heads up because it's WrestleMania night too, and they just had Dominic Mysterio win his first title. He won the Intercontinental title.
That little shit that can't
Spoilers.
wrestle,
No, he can wrestle now. He's actually pretty good now.
has he? He was
It
kind of
took him a
he
while,
was
but he
kind of
got there. He
useless.
got there.
All right.
He's like 27, 28 now.
Yeah, well, no, you keep
Yep.
at a thing. If you get serious about it and keep at it, you will improve. That is true.
And
That's
he's
true.
definitely got the lineage.
Dave has got something going on here with Easter Island. I don't know. Um,
No.
it's called Rapa
No, why
Nui,
is that?
Dave.
Why is that called Easter Island? Why did we name it that? Was it just for fun, for a lark, or did they find something there that they needed to memorialize?
I don't know. Let's ask. Why is Easter Island called Easter Island? It
What
is
we got?
named after the day it was discovered. Cool.
Oh, he
Seven,
discovered it on Easter.
yeah,
That's crazy.
1722.
That's pretty wild. Well, technically, okay. Like you said, in fairness, it was named after the day some white guy discovered it
Yeah.
because it had already been discovered by the Polynesians. Clearly,
Or and other people,
yes.
clearly. But of course, it's for them. It's called Isla de Pascua, which now this is a very interesting thing. With the Latin languages, they don't call it Easter. That's a Germanic Celtic thing that we do.
Hmm.
And Pascua, of course, is just the Spanish word for Passover. And that's what the Catholics call it, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it is, isn't it? Isn't it? But the Europeans, they weren't willing to give up their old pagan things so easily. The Northern Europeans, and good for them. Good for them.
They hung on. They
They
hung
did.
on.
That held on better. And of course, many of the practices have nothing to do with Jesus per se. But the name held on better than Samhain, right? Because we call that
Yeah.
Halloween. So the Catholics won that one.
Yeah. Halloween's a better name. Let's be honest.
It's true. It is a better name. But then again, there's zero Christian interaction with that at all. They won the name battle, but lost the culture battle.
Well, there's a lot of actually. It's very strange because there's still some, even in America, some Protestant churches that do in fact kind of celebrate it. Like it's not really a celebration of Halloween itself. It's more just the candy part and the costume part, but not
Sure.
really. Obviously, it's not actually any of the
Well,
actual religious connotations.
All Hallows Eve, of course, is before Saints Day, All Saints Day, right?
Oh yeah, definitely way before. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, who are the only people who really do All Saints Day are the Mexicans, really.
Hmm.
I mean, they do it pretty seriously. I know I never cared for the aesthetic of the Latins or the Indians for that matter. I mean, not Native Americans, dot, not feather. But I never cared for their aesthetic. But
Hmm.
that doesn't mean there isn't cool stuff. You remember that movie that came out years back from Disney before they decided to become stupid? It was called, I think, Coco.
Hmm.
You see that one?
Yes, that
It's
was when
about
they decided to start to become very They were already stupid, but they were like, all right, we're going all in now
yeah.
because
Well,
Disney's been woke before it was even called that, long before it was
oh
called
sure.
that.
But Coco was a great movie though.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It was
It's not bad at all.
nice, the old lady and stuff. It was. I
Just like
enjoyed that.
just like Frozen is pretty good. It's good for what it is.
Not less,
Came
I
out
would
before
say
they.
less so,
Mhm.
because that is full on feminist propaganda.
Yeah,
But
but it's good. But it's good propaganda. They did a good job with it. I think it was presented
it
well.
was well done. You're
Personally.
correct.
Yeah.
But my family didn't like Frozen. This is not my opinion. My kids didn't like it. They loved Tangled.
Really
They loved Coco. Yeah, but they didn't care
interesting
for Frozen. My daughter particularly. Uh, but um, but yeah,
because it's about white girls. Is that why she doesn't like the white girl?
no, no, she not like that at all.
I know. I'm just kidding.
It
Well,
just
because
wasn't.
Tangled is too. That's why that was the joke.
But
Tangled
she
is too.
oh, yeah. Well, she liked Tangled. But it's just not as good a movie. It's just not, right?
Mhm.
But Coco I liked. And of course that is all about, All Hallows Eve and of course All Saints Day. Anyway,
Yeah.
chocolate. Eating hollow chocolate bunnies specifically.
Oh yeah.
You read
Mhm.
this one.
Mhm.
This is good for you.
Mhm. Love them or hate them, hollow chocolate bunnies will most likely be part of your Easter. They make great
Mhm.
Easter basket stuffers after all.
Mhm.
Considering the underwhelming amount of chocolate they provide compared with their solid counterparts, chowing down on hollow bunnies may seem like one of the more bizarre Easter traditions, but there's a reason behind the candy's popularity. In 1939, chocolate manufacturers wanted a way to make chocolate bunnies that could be large and decorative while still, I've got the burp picks,
Mhm.
easy to eat. You'll have no problem biting into a thin, hollow chocolate bunny, but bigger chunks of solid chocolate can be tough on your chompers. And let's be honest, making hollow bunnies was always a way for manufacturers to sell larger products at a cheaper price. See, I don't mind either of them. I'll
Yeah,
bite right into that big, solid chunk of
I
chocolate.
like the
Especially give me a
solid
white.
one
You
because
give
it
me that white
lasts.
chocolate bunny, woo, boy. You give me that
Yeah,
white chocolate bunny.
I'm not a
Mm,
I'm not
mm,
a big
mm.
white chocolate guy.
Yeah,
But
because you hate white people.
that's
Just
fair.
say it, Chester.
Okay, fine. Down with the whitey. All right, crackers. All right,
Mm.
but both are fine, but the solid ones are better because you can take a bite of it and then put it away, and then you can have a bite of it the next day, and then the next
Mhm,
day, and then the next
mhm,
day. That's a good thing
mhm.
about solid ones. But because the hollow ones you eat in like two goes.
Yep.
But there you go. There's that. Snacking on jelly bean. I never cared for a jelly bean, dude. I'm not a candy guy. I like
Me
chocolate
neither.
and peanut butter, but
I'm not a big candy guy myself, and I really don't like jelly beans. They get stuck in your teeth, and it's just
mhm,
yeah. I
yeah.
don't like the texture of them. I don't like anything about them. Get them out of here.
They say it
Get them out.
started originally as a Christmas candy, but because of the color, I'd imagine is why it became so Easter themed. Because Easter is very colorful, and fair
Yeah.
enough, right? It's spring.
Springtime.
Yeah, it is a great thing with all the ladies are all out doing their thing here. So they're all they don't do some ladies do the stuff that flowers on its own every year just after the caring for it. But a lot of time what they
Mhm.
do is just replant flowering stuff. They just replant it and they go we have places all around town, the village that have spots for planting, right? And they just
Right.
fill it full of flowering plants and they've been doing that. So it's always nice. It's always nice.
Is. Yeah.
Smells good, nice color. Yeah. Although I've noticed a few Japanese over here that have been having trouble because they said they can't smell anything after getting COVID.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've
Yeah.
heard that. A lot
I
of
don't have
people
that
have
problem.
trouble with their sniffer after COVID. What's interesting with me is I got COVID, or at least I'm pretty sure it was COVID, and since then, my sinuses are far less anything.
Oh,
Like
that's
I
good.
don't get I haven't had a sinus infection, not a really serious one since then. I'll sometimes get allergies, but not like I used to. It's kind of nuts actually. How I don't know. I think it did permanent damage to all that up in there, and that's why I just don't react like it.
Maybe.
Because a lot of like sinus infection stuff is just your immune system going into overdrive, and
Sure.
it's really more like an allergic reaction than
Well,
anything.
it's trying to get it out, right?
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
So I think that's what I don't know. I think that's what happened.
that's kind of interesting. I didn't really get sick during the entire time. I had a cold kinda earlier this year, but barely. I usually don't get a real cold, like once every 5 years or something, right?
Right.
Which is pretty normal, I think, for most people. Little teeny things here and there you might get yearly, but an actual cold. But yeah, I guess I just dodged it.
Chester,
Peeps.
your boy, Randy Orton is walking out right now at
Oh,
WrestleMania, and they're all singing his song so loud that it was 110 decibels in the
nice.
arena. They had a
That's
little thing.
illegal.
Yeah, it's pretty loud.
Yeah.
It's pretty loud. Well, in the stadium, they're in a stadium with a dome in Vegas.
As a counter to your decibels, when I'm running the motor in my boat, which I don't like to do because it is a sailboat, but unfortunately you run it a lot more than you want to. Just so you
Mhm.
know, if you're looking to get into sailing, you're going to be running your motor more than you think you will. But nevertheless, I because my boat's a bit older, but I've done some work to patch it up. But still, would you like to guess the decibel of my boat when its motor is running?
Tell me, hit me with it.
70.
Oof, it's
Yeah,
pretty loud.
yeah, yep. It kind of sucks. But then again, if you're in a non very expensive car driving on the highway, it's probably around 70 decibels as well. Anyway,
Yeah.
Peeps, I never cared for this shit.
No, I'm not a fan of the Peeps. Not a fan of
Yeah,
the Peeps either.
invented in 1953. Staple for Easter. It's true. It is a very Easter thing in many places, not just America, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I never cared for Peeps though. Getting Easter baskets. Now this is a big one though. Go ahead.
Easter baskets. Gifting the Easter basket. One of the most popular Easter traditions, filling a basket with eggs, comes from Germany, of course it
Of
does, and
course.
was
Yeah.
inspired by the concepts of fertility and springtime.
Mhm.
Children would make nests filled with grass in hopes that Peter Cottontail would fill the nest with eggs and other treats. The nest gradually evolved into baskets, which were less messy, easier to carry, and of course,
Bigger.
bigger.
Yeah, that's cool. That's neat. That's a neat little story. But yeah, the Easter basket is great. Like I said, I've of course enjoyed Easter as a kid, all the different things. But I think Easter for me was far more fun as a father than as a kid.
Right.
Because, me specifically, I had the situation where my daughter's friends were coming over every year and doing a sleepover, right? Pajama party. So I had a very involved Easter every year. And it was a lot of work, and you bitch and moan while you're doing it, of course. But in the end, it's happy to see all these little kids, just running around so excited and wide eyed and stuff like that. They loved the Japanese girls loved it, dude. They loved it. It was so exciting to them because they never heard of such a thing, right?
Right.
Yeah. But then they come on the night before, and we sit down, and they would paint eggs. And usually on the TV, it would have some kind of Easter thing, like Peter Cottontail or something running. Not Watership Down. I thought about it once or twice, but I got yelled at. Anyway,
That's
uh,
ah. So Chester, this is how you know it's a totally new era in professional wrestling.
uh-huh.
The Randy Orton's opponent got hurt before Mania, so he didn't have an opponent, right? He hurt his
Right.
neck. And in order to they didn't have a replacement really, so they just basically had Orton come out and do an open challenge, and his replacement ended up being the TNA Wrestling World Champion Joe Hendry.
I don't know. I
Um,
don't know who that is.
well, you wouldn't because he's a TNA guy, but he's a huge deal on the internet, and he's actually helped them get basically resurrect that company because they were on the brink. They actually are start selling out shows and stuff again. So it's a pretty big deal. But my point is, if Vince was around, this wouldn't be happening.
What's
There's
his
no
name?
shot. Joe Hendry. He's
Joe
Scottish.
Hendry.
Yes.
Okay.
He got really popular and went viral because of his song, his entrance music, which is it went to #1 on the UK charts.
Getting a little bit of Jericho vibes here.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Kennedy, maybe.
No, he's really good on the mic too, and he's a pretty
So
good singer.
Jericho. Yeah. And he can sing. Uh-oh.
Yep.
Well, I mean, he's in the WWE, so he must have ring
Well, he
skill.
is he's in TNA, but they have a working relationship with WWE now, so this kind of stuff can just happen whenever they need him to.
Sure. Well, man,
Uh,
you gotta, the show must go on, dude.
yeah.
I
Oh, and
mean,
it's Randy Orton. I mean, you got to find him somebody to WrestleMania. What
yeah.
are we doing here? Like,
And
what are we doing?
besides,
He's
Randy can carry anybody.
anybody. You could put him out. You could have put him out there with some rookie from wherever the hell, and he'd give you a good 5-10 minute match, no problem. It wouldn't even be a
Easy.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Randy is the quintessential wrestler, that's for
So
sure.
he's so big now. He's got to
Yeah,
be almost 300 pounds of
I
muscle. I
kind of
mean,
liked him when he was a
big.
little bit smaller, right?
Yeah, he
A
looks
little
awkward almost.
much, a little much,
Yeah.
yeah. Those damn legs can kick a hole in a frickin' semi, dude. Um, Unbelievable. It's kind of like with Reacher season 3. He's just too big now. It's too
He's too
much.
swole.
It's too
Too
much.
swole.
Too swole. Whatever. Let's move on. The Easter baskets, of course, are a lot of fun. Uh, Baking an Easter lamb or ham. Now, that's a good question. What did you eat on Easter? What was the main protein?
Ham,
Ham.
ham,
I
and
think a
then
lot
we
of
had
people
some
it's ham.
cheesy potatoes, a little bit of cheese in them.
Sure, sure. Deviled
Good
eggs, of
time. Some
course.
rolls.
Celery with the sour cream, or the cream cheese thing mix, pimento thing in there, and the peanut butter. We'd put peanut
Yeah.
butter in the celery as well. But my family did do lamb as well, not just ham. We did
Hmm.
have lamb. Of course, lamb being associated with the sacrificial lamb, the scapegoat, baby Jesus. But
Yes.
you know, yeah, no, they're both good. They're both good. Candied ham, I would assume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Baking hot cross buns. Never heard of it. My
Mm-mm.
family would make Easter basket bread. It looked like a basket with eggs in it. But I've
Interesting.
never heard of this. You?
No, never heard of such a thing.
Hot cross buns and other breads, other breads marked with the symbol of the cross. Yeah, they kind of do the cross thing. Aren't just Easter tradition; they're often eaten on Good Friday too. Different sweet breads are eaten all over the world on Easter Day. That's true,
Mm.
including choreg in Armenia, Pascha in Ukraine, babka in Poland, siroreki in Greece, and Italian Easter bread, which is the one I mentioned there. These are conspicuously risen breads, which may also show a desire for Easter tradition to be different from Passover, which includes unleavened bread, or maybe that we're not Jews,
Yeah, that could be something. Yeah, that might
you
have
know.
something to do with it.
And we don't usually eat leavened bread. Have you ever had leavened bread as far as your family tradition? Ever?
No, no, no. I've
No.
had leavened bread, but not for a tradition or anything.
Unleavened. Yeah, of course you have. I mean,
Yeah.
pita and there's all kind of, stuff we eat that is unleavened, but it's not going to be part of your tradition of being most Americans. That's very much a Jew thing. And that's cool. It's their thing. But then again, their Passover is about eating bad food to be punished for being Jewish.
Seems like just about their whole religion is just
I
about being put.
know, isn't it? There's a lot of punishment going on being a Jew, dude. You gotta suck that shit up. Watching Easter parades. Yeah, well, once again, Americans, we have parades for every frickin' thing, dude.
Yes.
We love
We like
ourselves a parade.
good old-fashioned parade.
Boy,
That was
that
quick. That was a quick match. It's over already.
yeah, no, yeah, sure. Just want to show Randy, right?
Randy
But
got his payday.
this
No, that's a
this
big deal for him, though. That's cool. That's a big deal for Joe Hendry. He got a WrestleMania match with frickin' Randy Orton. That's pretty cool.
yeah, that is cool. We roast a bunny with egg stuffing. That's good. Mm, I'd eat that. But rabbit's awesome too. Hassenpfeffer, baby. But this, I love this picture here because it is super cute. But I also understand the pain that's about to come for this man. He's in trouble. He's in trouble. A
Yeah.
house where he's sitting up with three ladies.
Yep.
Boy, and I'm not only because I'm a dad, but because I'm a teacher. You see, and I teach all age groups. And the simple fact of the matter is, very few boys are ever troublesome.
Mm,
I mean, for the parent, they might get into some hijinks around junior high, high school, but it's not malicious or mean spirited usually, right?
right.
It's just stupidity. Girls are malicious and mean, and many of
Yes.
them don't
Cruel.
grow out of it these days.
No, they sure don't.
You know,
Absolutely cruel.
but this dad is in for it. Although this one on the right definitely needs to pee, but the one on the left, she is just having the greatest time.
The other thing with females is you can never, especially the younger ones, you can never trust a single thing they say
No,
because
no,
their word means nothing.
yeah,
Nothing. It only matters how they feel in the moment. That's all that
yeah, yeah.
matters.
So the little
So even
ones
if
are.
they tell you something like, even the little ones, even if they tell you something, "I'll never talk to you again," and then, like, 2 days later, they're talking to you out of
Oh
nowhere,
yeah,
or
no,
just
I
things like this.
I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
many times to little girls just said no.
Yeah.
Many times, yeah. Although they're cute and you love them. This is the
Yeah.
dagger they hold in their hand their entire life. But that little one right there on the left, she's just having a grand old time, isn't she?
Mhm.
That's cool. Yeah. Let's see. And that's watching Easter parades. Yeah, and that's decorating with Easter lilies. Yeah, sure, we did that. And there you go. Yeah, Easter lilies is definitely a thing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Easter, man. Easter's good fun, dude. I always
It's a
enjoyed
good
it.
time.
It's um it's the more it's the more non-secular secular holiday. Or maybe I could say it
Mm.
the other way. It's the less secular religious holiday. How about that? Right?
Yeah.
Because no one on the planet separates Easter from the Christians, even though it outdates them, right?
Mhm.
It's definitely something that they own, right? Whereas
Right.
Christmas, lots of people celebrate Christmas, and Jesus has nothing to do with it. Halloween, of course, is also very popular around the world, and they don't even know Jesus would be attached to it. right?
Right.
Because that's just a secular holiday, et cetera, et cetera. But Easter is definitely connected to the Christians 100%. And there's not a thing wrong with that. And because I really think it's one of their more fun holidays that actually, if they're looking to recruit, right? If you're looking to get people into the religion and joining, an Easter Sunday events is a really good way to do it, I think, right?
Mm. Hmm.
Because it's so wholesome, it's so family based, it's so fun. It's not preachy. There's nothing preachy about Easter, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's a good holiday for them. It is a good
it
holiday
is
for the
indeed.
Christians. Yeah, for sure. I got Amy in here, and what does Amy have to say here? Happy Easter, Easter basket bread. Yeah, no, I used to have that.
Amy's in here. Hi, Amy. Amy's usually not in here on Sundays.
She is today. Well, they probably done with Easter, and it's late, and she has her turkey coma coming on. Anyway, that's one new. I've never had cross hot buns either. Maybe it's more British. It might be. I've never heard of cross buns, but the Easter basket bread my mom would make every year, and they were pretty. It was pretty good. But my mom was way better at baking than cooking, though. How was your mom?
Um, Neither.
I see. Well, it is what it is. But no,
My uh
my
my
mom was a good
father was a
baker.
better cook.
I
My father
see.
was a better cook. But she still did most of the cooking, but my father was the better cook for sure.
Well, when the problem with that is my wife cooked every day, multiple times a day for 30 years, right? I cook occasionally.
Right.
And when I do cook, I'm very pedantic about it, as I think most men are. Therefore, nowhere near as quick as the wife. I mean, she's like, whoosh, done, right? So I
Mhm.
take my time, but I prep for it and make my day about it. And the kids do like what I cook. Well, it depends on the age whether my daughter would admit she liked it or not. Yeah.
Right.
But so they did like what I cooked, but the wife is just so much more proficient. And she has some great dishes she makes, actually. The good thing about my wife is, and I think there's plenty of wives like moms like this, she pays very close attention to what is liked and what is not. And she'll make something two or three times before she puts it into her recipe book, right? To make sure
Mm.
it deserves to be in the book, right? I imagine there's a lot of moms like that. Let's see here. Alan says, we roast the bunny. Yeah, I read that one. Amy says, hey, Alan, happy Easter. Oh, that's nice. Happy Easter, Amy. Oh, does anyone else see that this Easter falls on 420? Well,
I
what do
did.
you
Yeah.
think we
Hitler's
did Cheech
birthday.
and Chong for, dude?
Hitler's
Um,
birthday.
I thought 420 was the weed code.
It is, but it's also Hitler's birthday. That was the day he was born, was 420.
Well, I don't need to know about
And
that.
it's the day that the American Revolution is officially recognized as kicking off.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yep.
That's good.
And they
Well,
started shooting them damn Brits.
yeah, that's right. But I mean, honestly, if you plug a date into the computers, you're going to find a lot of things fall upon it throughout history, of course.
Mhm.
History
Mhm.
being long. Um, let's see, or maybe he's a happy father. I don't know what that means. Well, I think I'm going to look up Easter basket bread. It is good. Have a good night. Oh, thank you, Amy. She's gone. And Alan says, also Columbine. Good job, Alan. All right. Anyway, that's Easter. I just thought I'd do something a little nice for Easter. I extended it because Thundero said it was going to be late and then lied. But that's all right.
Well, I was watching a match that I didn't wanna be interrupted, so that
Oh, that's
was the
fine.
one match I really wanted to watch.
Oh, that's fine.
Uh,
100% fine.
and, I wanna say this real quick.
Mhm.
Uh, Happy Easter to all my people of the faith. It is the most important day that, well, it's obviously it wasn't today, but you know what I mean. In observance in the faith,
Sure.
there is nothing more important than the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It
That would
is
be 100% true. Yeah.
it is the key thing that makes Christianity, or whatever you want to call it, worth it. Because without that, then what are we doing? What are we doing? There's nothing at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
And
That's what makes
the
it different.
reality is, yeah, the reality is, the enemy can do what it wants. We've already won. It's done. It's finished. Like he said on the cross, it is finished. It's over.
It is
You already won.
finished.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what book you're reading. But anyway, I won't get into that. But well, Luke, Matthew, Mark, he says
Hmm.
different things on the cross.
He
But I
does.
like that one best too. It's finished. It's short,
It is
sweet. It's a
finished.
bit John Wicky. I like it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. But no, that's
That's
100%
my
true.
Jesus.
This is yeah, this is certainly the most important day for Christians without question. And keep in mind that even though, as far as the Jews are concerned, their Messiah has not come yet, right?
Yeah.
Although a lot of them are getting excited, thinking that he is coming, which is interesting because the Christians are excited because they think he's recoming.
That's right.
Huh. But anyway, do keep in mind with the Jews, though, the coming of their Messiah, Messiah means warlord, by the way.
That's right.
And
Mashiach.
yeah, and with the Jews, there's nothing in the story about him dying and resurrecting. It's not a resurrection story. It's just a
Mhm.
great general coming to lead them to victory against
The world,
the world,
effectively.
effectively, yeah, yeah. Yeah. But anyway, it is good. It is good. But most of the old animistic religions all have that 3-day resurrection thing in it as well. It's an old tradition. But
Mhm.
nevertheless, let
Well,
us
G
continue.
the one part of it that isn't told in most Protestant versions of it is the harrowing of hell, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
weird because it is in the Bible. It's
it
straight
is.
right in the gospel. And it's a very interesting concept, and there's a lot of obviously debate about what that was and what
He
it
was a
means because
thief.
yeah, he went down into hell and pulled out all these souls. Well, why were those souls down there if they didn't belong there?
Right. Well,
That's my question.
mostly what he
How'd that
did
happen?
was stole keys.
Yeah, he stole the keys to death and life and hell and all that stuff. But regardless, it's just a very interesting thing. And I don't know if you saw this when he was on old Joe Rogan. When our friend Mel
Jesus?
Gibson, no Mel Gibson,
Okay.
was on Joe Rogan, he said the Passion of the Christ 2, which he is writing or has written or whatever, is going to cover the harrowing of hell, which will be very interesting to see. That could be an interesting.
And what?
There's a lot of
Hey,
really cool stories in the Bible that never get touched, and
I
it's
know,
strange.
dude. I'm doing the Bible this week on Drone Recorded Ultimate Edition. It was my request.
Yep.
And it's exactly what I said. It's like, dude, there are so many cool stories in the Bible that no one ever talks about.
Ever. Never
So
get touched.
many
Like,
neat things, dude.
neat thing, the harrowing of hell is really cool. There's all kinds of stuff in Revelation people just ignore, like
Hmm.
for some reason. Like the flying scorpion lion creatures
Yeah,
that like wait,
yeah,
excuse me? The
there's a
what
thing.
now?
Yeah.
The beast that comes out of the sea. There's a lot of stuff in Revelation that it just kind of gets ignored for some reason, but there's a lot of stuff all throughout the Bible. The Bible, I
Mhm.
told Booster this one time. I told him like, bro, you should read the Bible for no other reason than it's like the most metal book ever written. There's
It
so
is
much
super
crazy
metal, yeah.
stuff that happens in there.
Well, just like Kings, for instance,
Yeah.
there's, we're talking about David, right?
Yes.
And all the stuff that happened with him, and because everyone always wants to talk about David and Goliath. Well, he fought many giants actually. It wasn't
Yes.
just Goliath. He wiped out that entire family, that
Well, they
entire
the
race. He genocided them.
the Israelites, the Hebrews, the tribals, they fought bunches of them too.
He did.
Like Canaan was filled with giants when they got
Yeah.
there, and they slaughtered them.
And they,
So
well, sure, yeah. You have the Raphaim. You have there's a whole bunch of them, dude. A whole bunch of different
yep,
tribes that they interacted with, and they give very specific detail on what they look like,
yeah,
what was their, the presence they gave off, how tall each group was. They're very specific. It's so
yep,
specific that it makes me wonder. But the problem is the height is just a bit much because we know that there were plenty of people throughout time that would run from 7 to 9 feet, right?
right.
That's a fair number. We have evidence. We know that's real. But they're talking about these giants, these different groups ranging anywhere from 10 to 15, right?
Yes,
And it's a bit tall. It's a bit much, I feel.
pretty
Uh,
tall,
but they're
pretty
so
tall.
specific about it, and it's not just the Jews. there are
No.
other groups that are giving the exact same description. So I don't know. I guess I have to accept it because there's a lot of oral tradition around the specific heights, averaging around 12 and a half feet for these Middle Eastern ones. I don't know, but like Susquehannock, for instance, we know they averaged about 7 feet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and
Mhm.
that's not argued at all, right? And of
Right.
course, we have many skeletons in America that pulled out 8, 9 feet, 9 foot tall. So giants were a
A
thing.
lot of them. A lot of them in the Ohio Valley.
Oh
They're
yeah,
there. We
oh
see
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
You can
They're
go down
all
there right
over.
now. They got whole exhibits about it, but then they pretend like it ain't real. I'm like, well, wait a minute. What's all these exhibits then? Who built all this stuff? They talk all about it. There's a lot of I'll call it rumor just because it's not fully confirmed, but it's what it is. That the mounds that are all through the Ohio Valley,
Right.
that's what's in them. They're burial mounds for giants. The
Well,
giants are buried.
they were digging a lot of those up, looking for treasures and stuff, and some treasures were found, but the government had to step in and stop that from going on at the end of the 19th century.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I mean, you don't hear me even suggesting any. I don't have to back myself up by saying maybe. I know 100% that
Yeah.
these are real. I'm not, you know, there's no need for that.
It's just one of those interesting conspiracy theories that for some reason isn't really even a theory, but we all
Yeah.
have to pretend like it is because they just refuse to admit it. It's
Well,
so
no,
weird.
dude, I've seen 8 foot skeletons myself. I've seen them when I was a
I've seen
student.
the bones too. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's I don't know. It's
yeah.
crazy.
But see, and I'm not really talking about that because that is a confirmed thing.
Yes,
The 12, 13 foot giant though, man, that's a bit much. But
big
I
boy.
don't I don't
It's a big
know
boy.
I don't know how to argue it because there's so much very specific written history about it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And of course, the problem you get with this, and what does it matter? Which of course it doesn't really. But as you get taller, the amount of energy required to motivate that body becomes exponentially more difficult.
Yeah,
And
and you
little
usually don't
people,
live as long.
no, that's true. But little people don't get it, right? Even
Hmm.
with the modern human, right? The average world man is what, 5'7", I think, is the world average, right?
Somewhere in there.
Now I'm way beyond that, right?
Yeah, I'm a
And
few inches above that.
sure, but you wouldn't think that my, disparity from that would be too extreme. But even that small amount, so what is that? 5, 7, 8 inches. I'm 8 inches higher than the normal, right?
Mhm.
But the thing with it is, I am so much stronger than the people around me, so much
Yeah,
so. And I'm not a bodybuilder, right? I mean, I do a little exercise, but I'm not serious about it. I'm not a
right.
bodybuilder. I'm not a person that has weight training since I was a kid, right? I'm not
Yeah,
a specifically strong person for my size. I'm just big, right? And that's the thing with height. The taller you get, it becomes exponentially more difficult to move that and motivate that mass. So if you're talking about a 9 foot person, that 8, 9 foot person, that person is able to generate so much more power than I can even imagine easily. Now, if you jump that up to 10, 12, 15 feet, holy crap, dude.
right.
And
Yep.
one of the,
No, it'd be crazy.
it would be. And for the most part, unless they have some kind of disease, which I don't. Some people do have diseases and get tall. But
Mhm.
just tall people, you got to keep in mind, it isn't that we're just tall, we're also wider. And
Mhm.
usually it's not proportionate. We're usually overly wide. It's just
Right.
something that comes with being bigger. So a 15-foot person would be freaking wide as hell, dude.
It's
Right?
also harder for taller people to build muscle, right? Because their
It is.
muscles are longer, so it's harder for them to, get enough shred in them. Whereas a shorter guy or a person with more normal proportions,
Hmm.
their muscles shred easier, so they can build more
Yeah. Well,
muscle very
and it's
very
also
quickly, very quickly.
It's also a metabolism issue. The smaller you
Yeah.
are, the quicker your metabolism works naturally. And of
Yes.
course, metabolism, having a high metabolism, is very beneficial for looking fit. Like when
For
they do
everything.
movies,
Honestly.
yeah, sure. When they do
Yeah.
movies or they bodybuilders or stuff like that, and they want to do like a men want to do a shirtless scene, right? They will basically reduce their liquid content for like days, and like
Yes.
the last day before they do the shoot, they won't drink anything at all,
Right.
just to reduce
Just to.
that liquid weight, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a real thing. But no, yeah, all these things are true. It is interesting when you think about it, though, because there's so much evidence from many cultures, and they're very specific about what they look like, what their heights were, and various little things. It's just kind of weird when you really think about it. Hold on a second, I got to grab something real quick. If you could continue.
Jester's got to grab something real quick. I don't. What's the chat look like? What do we got? Who's talking in the chat right now? It looks like we got a little bit of that. Our boy Alan's saying some words. Let's see what we got. Let's take a look. What's he saying? Roger was talking to Amy. Columbine. He wrote something in Warcraft. I don't want to know what that is. Alan, I don't want to know what you've been riding in Warcraft. I'm good. I'm good on all that. Uh, no, it's very interesting how one of the reasons why, like, you'll see basketball players, right? The big, tall basketball players, but they're all real lean. You don't see, there's not too many of them. There's a couple, but there's not too many of them that are big, big boys. There's not too many of them looking like a big pro wrestler or, the big show or whatever, because it's really, very rare for a person to be that tall and thick. But these accounts of these like giants and whatnot and all this literature, even in the Bible, they're giant in all proportion. They're like Andre the Giant. They're just huge, thick. Everything about them is bigger than a normal person. Especially back then, people were real small, and so they just towered over them. It's just very interesting because it like Chester was saying that the physics of it start to become silly. Like there's a reason
Yeah,
why a lot of so-called scientists nowadays will say that giants are impossible above like 8 feet, 9 feet, whatever. It wouldn't even be physically possible. The
which is
physics of it are
why
silly.
I'm
Yeah.
balking. That's why I'm balking.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then we have all these accounts of it. And then we
Yeah.
also know that there have been people, even today, there are people who get up to about 8 feet, a little bit over 8 feet. So it's possible to get real close to that size. We know for certain. There was a wrestler just recently. He's not a wrestler for him anymore because he was terrible. Named Omas. He was 7'8".
Yeah.
That's tall.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
That's a big boy.
But of course, these people usually have some manner of disease. We're talking racial groups that are consistently tall, right?
Yep.
But let me just take the Middle East and give you a rundown on what the Middle East thought, because they usually broke them into 5 or 6 separate tribes. They often refer to them as tribes, which is interesting,
Yes.
right? And of course, they want to connect this all biblically as well. Because keep in mind, it's not just the Jews that had Bibles,
Correct.
just so you know. Anyway, of course, the most common one you hear about throughout the Bible or the Torah or the Quran and things like that are the Anakim, and the Anakim are around 10 to 12 feet tall or so, and they just look like us. They're just big,
Yep. They're just
right?
giants.
But those are the most common ones you'll hear, the Anakim or some other pronunciation, depending on the Persians and stuff. Of course, you have the Raphahim. Now, the Raphahim are a little more interesting because often that word is translated as dead or walking dead or zombie or things like that. But the Raphahim are, like 12 to 15 foot tall or so, and most of the descriptions of them. But they have a very shocking visage because they're white, very white,
Right.
right? Whereas the Anakim were, like I said, they're just like us. They're just tall. Of course, you have the Emim, which those ones are about 10, 12, 13 feet as well. It's just like the Anakim, but they're always described as being monstrous in appearance,
Hmm.
right? Hairy, heavy.
Sasquatches.
Yeah, Sasquatches. Yeah, there you go, Sasquatch. You have the
Hmm.
Zuzim. They're once again about the same height, 10, 13 feet, somewhere in that range. But they were considered to be stupidly strong. Now, all of these people being that height just would be so much stronger than you can imagine. Even a person
Oh,
like
they would.
me, I'm
Yeah,
pretty strong dude, but it would be I would be nothing, right?
yeah.
But the
You'd
Zuzim,
be like a child. They
I
just
would
be.
be, yeah.
Yeah.
But the Zuzim were considered to be just radically, radically strong, and they look like the Anakim, right? And then of course you have the Zamzumin, which a lot of people kind of wonder if it's just a shoot off of the one above. But their height rangers, they're taller though, upwards of 15. These are like one of the taller ones, 15-foot tall ones. But
Right.
mostly you have the ones that look like Sasquatches. You have the ones that look like us. You have the ones that are like pale white, and then you have the ones that are really strong, right?
Yep.
And so there's all kind of stories. Some of them have little different names, but you can categorize them like that. Those are the main ones that I can think on the top of my head. Oh, my water's boiling.
Oh, his water's boiling. There's also, if you look in, like I was talking about this the other week, if you look in Egypt, because we were talking about the under the pyramids, right? They found all that structure. Um, well, it's very interesting if you look at a lot of the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics and whatnot. There's giants all throughout them. Now, of course, modern archaeologists, Egyptologists want to say that that's just artistic representations. Yeah, but what if it ain't though? What if that was real? What if these people were really that big? And there's some of them, and they use them to build things and use them for things that they couldn't do otherwise. Uh, we just don't know. And anybody who tells you that they do know is, especially about that specifically anyway, is just not being honest. There's so many accounts of these massive, massive human beings, massive humans, some form of human that we don't understand, who was just, huge, huge, strong. We would imagine probably just as smart or, around the same intelligence as a modern human. Um, but we don't know for certain, of course. But it would make sense, right? Because all of the myth and lore, even from that area, and really from all over the world, but definitely from that area too, is full of things like giants,
Hmm.
ogres,
Everywhere, the
colossal,
whole world, dude.
all over.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I was talking about, Chester, I don't know if you heard me, was in Egypt specifically, there's all the hieroglyphics that show what appear to be giants just
Yeah.
carrying things around and doing stuff.
Yep.
And the Egyptologists and whatnot all pretend that that's just artistic representation or whatever. But yeah, but what if it ain't though?
Well,
What if it was very
that's not
real?
what the Egyptians thought.
No, of course not. Yeah,
Hmm. And there's been a lot of ancient scholars who've talked about this as well. It's
yep,
another thing that always gets me. So many modern people don't realize that there's been people, scholarly people, libraries for what eight
ever.
thousand years, and that we know
Hmm.
about. And those
Right.
libraries had books in them that suggested that they were copies from older libraries.
Right.
So we've been doing scholarly work for a bit,
Yes.
but when you look at some of the ancient scholarly work on this topic, some of it's scholarly and some of it's, field work, which means identification, scene, interview, et cetera, right?
Yep.
And but if you kind of put it together as a conglomerate, it seems that the Raphaim are something otherworldly, and you can go to stuff like the Anunnaki and stuff like that. But they seem otherworldly, and the Anakim seem to be maybe a mix with humans in them, right?
Right.
Therefore, the Nephilim possibly. There's different opinions on that. But
Hmm.
where the Emim, because the other two ones are kind of weird, and it's like they're probably just offshoots or separated groups of the other ones. But the Amim are something very different, right? The ones you said Sasquatch, which fine, good enough.
Yeah.
But these Sasquatch ones, these Amim, these are the ones that also described in Mesopotamia as the Egg or the Igigi, right?
Hmm.
They're very tall. They're giants, shorter than the Raphaim, right? But
Hmm.
extremely strong, red-headed, long cranial skulls, right? Six
Right.
fingers in each hand and feet, so 12 instead of 10, and
Hmm.
two rows of teeth. So these are like the most alien thing.
Right.
They're not
Monsters.
normal to us. And of course, there have been findings of those bones too. And those are the ones that get disappeared the quickest is the emim. The other ones you can find occasionally or show up in a museum. There's lots of photographs. The other ones because they look just like giant us. You can find them, but the amim those they trigger something awful inside of our governments. I don't know what it is. Are they just
Mm.
terrified of it and they know something we don't and they don't want us to know about? I don't know. But the ameme are the ones that you get these reactions where the Smithsonian will show up and just take it and threaten your
Yeah.
freaking life, right? I mean, that
It's
kind of
very
shit
weird.
happens. But
Very weird behavior.
it's the ameme though that they get real touchy about. I don't
Um,
know.
I wonder if because we have this thing in the human brain called uncanny valley, right? And we
Yeah,
don't really know why that exists, other than for some reason there's a heavy implication that somewhere deep in our lizard brain subconscious we have this unnatural or not unnatural, but this rational irrational. That's what I'm looking for. Fear of something that looks like a human but isn't. And I wonder
yeah,
if maybe that's where it comes from, is those
maybe.
creatures.
It could because it could be because imagine something that was 10, 12 foot tall coming at you with a long skull, red
Yeah,
hair dangling off the damn thing.
yeah.
Six fingers, six toes, just freaky looking coming at
Yeah.
you. I mean, it would freak the hell out of you, right?
But it'd be human enough, right? So from a distance you might not really even you'd be like, "Oh, it's just a big human or whatever." But then no, as it gets closer, you're like, "Oh, what the hell is that?" Like it would mess you up. So
It
it
would
could
mess
be.
you up.
Could
But
be.
keep in mind the Amim, though, in all the stories and whatever they call them, because like I said, the ancient Mesopotamians called them the Igigi or the Igigi. Um,
Right.
they are always serving the Raphaim and the Anakim, though. They
Interesting.
serve, right? And it's very interesting because in a lot of stories, it gets more deeper into the Amim. They are very specific that in the ancient times they were slaves of the Raphaim or the Anunnaki, right?
Right.
Um, but they were given their freedom, but still worked for the Raphaim as if slave.
Yeah.
It's very they're very specific to say that they're not slaves, but they're slave like.
Interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it? And of course, it seems that a lot of the stuff that the Europeans, that the ones that came across the Atlantic anyway, that when were, we were manifest destinying ourselves across the continent, it seems that's the main ones they ran into. And if you listen to a lot of the Indian stories, they separated out, and I mean feather, not dot, they separated out in a very specific way. These emim, are these igigi, are dangerous, monstrous things that they needed to really concern themselves about, right? Whereas the other ones, if you pay attention to their oral histories, they are giants, but they call them their friendly giant white neighbors. They weren't afraid
Yeah.
of them, they actually respected them, but and if you read and keep reading or keep talking, you'll find that, oh, yeah, they were giants as well. But that's not the first thing they mention. They mention that they're white, and they mention that they're very kind, right? And keep in mind, when the white people started coming over, a lot of their interaction with the Indians was pretty good because the Indians, of course, the Europeans would have been much taller than most Indians, right? And they would have seen us as, oh yeah, we used to have white neighbors like you, a little bit taller, but and that's why we
Hmm.
kind of initially had so many good reactions with the natives because we did.
Right.
And I know the modern woke idiots. I didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on me, right? That kind of dumb shit. Yeah, that didn't really happen like that until government was made.
Right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it is interesting. The whole giant thing is quite interesting. I kind of wish
We do go
someone,
off on it. We do go off on it sometimes. It's just one of those things. It's so obviously true, yet we all most people either have never even heard of it or they just roll their
right?
eyes at it. But it's just it'd be like it's there's Christians out there who will deny the existence of dinosaurs, like they never
Yeah,
existed
I've
at
met
all.
him. I've met him.
And
Yeah,
I'm just like, guys, come on,
yeah,
like what are we doing
uh,
here?
yeah. The devil put him there to trick us. All right.
Well, or what would make more sense that they were just large animals that got wiped out by the flood.
Yeah, I
That's it.
know.
That's it. That was
It
the answer.
Well, and it also knowing, because if you read your Bible, then you would know that the people before the flood were creating abominations. It actually uses the
Hmm.
word
Hmm.
abomination, literally, right?
Yep.
But that whole thing that's another thing that's really funny though, because they always like to deny those kind of things, and it's like the thing I always came back and said to him, it's like, can you show me where in the Bible that the devil has any actual power, please?
He doesn't.
Because he
All this
doesn't.
power is on loan from God.
Show me any
Um,
angel that has any power in the Bible.
that isn't given from God
Yeah, but
directly.
but even though, what power did God give any angel?
Well,
Name
he
it.
gives them like the angel of death. He gives them the power to kill, but that's literally
Yeah, but he's
directly
carrying God's word to do so.
correct.
What
Correct.
does
Right.
that
That's what I'm
mean
saying.
that he's carrying something?
He gave the power. It came from God. So, like even Christians,
Yeah, but
even those of
it doesn't
faith,
say that
y-
though, dude. It doesn't say
your
he gave it
power.
to him. He said he carried it.
Well, still, your power is the word of God. Like the metaphor that's used in the Bible is it's the sword of the Lord, is the word of God.
Sure.
Uh, it's the only thing that actually defeats evil in
Right.
the Christian
Right.
faith. It's what battles back the darkness. It's just the word of God,
Yeah, but I'm just
and that's
saying that.
one of the reasons why like there's a lot of weird anti-mysticism stuff in modern, especially Protestantism, which is strange because there's also a bunch of pro-mysticism. But that's a different topic. But one of the things that I think all of the church should reevaluate is this idea that one of the things that like the spiritualists and stuff they talk about manifestation, and you can kind of create your world through what you say and through what you affirm and things like that. That's completely biblical, and I don't know why Christians pretend that it isn't. God tells you repeatedly to seek Him and do things and say things in His the way He would want. That's what prayers are. There's no difference. That's what all these things are. So my point is, the word, the spoken word, is the power. It's divine. It's the only
Sure.
thing a human can actually do to change on a metaphysical level reality around them.
It's
Is speak.
literally a spell.
That's right. You're changing reality every time you speak out loud. Every time you're doing it.
Yeah.
Now it's different, like you're just creating vibrations and sound waves and on a molecular level, sure, but you're still manipulating reality. That's how powerful speech is.
Sure.
Just
Sure.
speech.
Um,
So it's one of those things. Like that's probably what it was. Most of the time, when anybody is given power from God, it is through the spoken word. Most of the
yeah.
time,
But
even the prophets and the disciples and
the
even
point
Jesus himself would
the
speak and
the
things would happen.
the point I'm trying to make is this. Is that the angels, messengers, because that's what it means.
That's right.
They ever do is deliver messages,
That's right.
literally, like the Annunciation, which is one of the biggest ones in all of Christendom, right? The
Hmm.
angels coming and telling Mary that she shall carry the Son of God, right?
Right.
And of course, what does it say after that? It says,
And name him.
and that's
And
right.
what name him.
And it says, what does it say after that? It says, and the light of God came upon her.
Right.
The angel didn't do that.
No, God did that.
Right.
Correct.
But I'm just saying, if you read the Bible, and not just the Bible, all the other texts from around that area, right? Because they're all
Yep.
connected. Keep in mind that the Council of Nicaea made decisions, right?
Yes.
But the simple fact of the matter is, um, angels don't really do have any kind of power, right? And the ones that do aren't even human. I mean, human-like, right? Because
No, like
the ones,
Michael.
well, yeah, but the
Michael's
ones who
example.
seem to do anything kind of magical are the cherubim, and those are
Right.
clearly some kind of machinery, right?
Yes.
Because that's how they're described. But I mean, the point is, the rate I'm getting at is people always apply so much power, this mighty magic and power to the devil as a Christian. And I don't know
Oh, he's a
why you're
manipulator.
doing that because
He's a
it doesn't.
deceiver.
Yeah, it doesn't say anywhere he has any power. So all these kind of Christian groups that sit there and say that he put the dinosaurs in the earth to trick us. Where does God give the devil the power to create false archaeology
That's correct. Or to manipulate the
or
world at that level. He
paleontology?
wouldn't.
I do apologize for my error.
He wouldn't, of course. No, the devil's power is the lie. That's why he's
He's
evil.
the great deceiver.
He is the
That's right.
he is the deceiver. He uses his silver tongue in beauty. He takes what is beautiful and
Hmm.
uses it for evil. He uses what is good for wickedness, and that's why it's evil.
Yeah.
That's literally what evil means: is you take the good and twist it into something bad. Um, so that's exactly what he does. And any power he does have is only directly given to him by God. At any point, whenever he does anything, it's because God said, "Okay, go do it."
Yeah.
That's
I,
it.
I am kind of cheating because I've read the Torah in its in its original Hebrew, and I've
Mhm.
also read the Septuagint in its original Greek. And a lot of you people are at a disadvantage because you're reading the King James translation, which I know this is going to
Is
offend you, but it is
really bad.
horribly, horribly
Yeah,
mistranslated.
it's not great. It's not great. Uh,
Yeah,
it's better than a lot of the other ones because a lot of the other ones are just as bad for various reasons. But yeah,
right.
it's not.
Yeah. Now, I think in general it gets the gist of it gets the gist of it. But
Yeah.
when we're talking semantics here, the meaning of a word matters, right?
Well, when it does, the thing that it does the best, or well, I don't know about the best, but it does well, very well, is the Gospels. There's still some issues, but by and large, it nails, the overall message, which is important because the reality is all the arguing that Christians do over the semantics and over these things that we're talking about
That's
doesn't
cool,
really
Alan.
matter.
Yeah,
What really matters is Jesus Christ. Do you believe in him or not? That's the whole point. He's the main character of this
that's
story.
true.
He is the point of the story.
And
Everything else is largely
thus
immaterial, neither here nor there.
Easter. Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Welcome to Easter.
yeah. Alan, the Ethiopian Bible is a Gnostic Bible, which are the original Christians, of course. But
Yes.
and Gnosticism is Christianity plus. It goes in a way deeper philosophy. It's way cooler. If you're, it doesn't matter whether you're religious or not. I suggest you read the Gnostic books. There's a lot on it these days. It's always existed, particularly in Africa and up there around like Azerbaijan and places like that,
Yeah.
Iran and things like that. But it's been put together in English quite well these days, and you should have a read for it. It's pretty interesting, man. The
It
Gnostics
is.
are interesting. It's just Christianity plus, really, because it gets into the philosophy much more than Christianity does, right?
Well, it also allegedly comes directly from John, the Apostle John.
Right.
It's very interesting because he was, I mean, effectively, he was their pope in a way, the Gnostics, the founder or whatever. But at least to them.
Yeah.
But and then Peter obviously went the other direction. He became what he became. So I just find that very interesting. There's even back then, even all the way back then, there was a schism between these
No, there
two.
was, but the thing with the Gnostics is. What they do is they explain the complete totality of reality, right? And
Yeah,
Jesus, whether he be in flesh or in spirit, he is a response to a problem,
right.
right? Now, for Christians, you agree. That's what I just said is true to you too. But they get into very much more depth of what the problem was and what the response was supposed to do to the problem.
Yes.
So I mean, even as a Christian, I'd suggest you read the Gnostics, be a modern Protestant or something or Catholic, because it just gives you a little more insight into what it is you believe. I heavily support the Gnostics. It's a great read. But
Well, and they would
nevertheless,
agree with me with the what I said about the mysticism. The idea that mysticism isn't real is silly. Of course it is.
of
Of
course it
course it
is.
is. It's even in
Yeah,
the Bible. It's mentioned
yeah,
that it
yeah.
exists, and you should respect it and understand what it is and make sure it comes from God. Because if the power doesn't come from the light, then obviously it's bad. But you still should understand. understand that, right?
Hmm.
So it's just interesting because if you read the Gnostic stuff, it's very mystical, a lot more mystical than anything else. When it comes to Christianity, it's very interesting stuff. I agree with Chester. Even if you don't, believe it, I still highly recommend it.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, why wouldn't you anyway? It is Christianity, so what's the problem? Uh, but
Yep.
um, but then again, we see how little teeny different denominations will fight each other, even in war, over the slightest little differences. It's
Yes.
incredibly
Over
how
things doesn't
violent the Abrahamics are. Um,
largely doesn't matter at the end of the day,
yeah,
to be honest.
but
But still, they'll fight each other to the death
they
about
will.
it.
But here's the interesting thing back to the giant stuff. I mentioned the Americas, but you could also mention the Orient here, or India, or Africa. They all
Yep.
have the same stories of giants. They're all within the same size category, and they're often described in a very similar way. Now, that's kind of interesting, right? Now,
Yes.
some historians will argue that, oh well, that's just influence coming through the Silk Road and trade and stuff from the early Egyptian Silk Road to the Roman Silk Road to the later Byzantine Silk Roads and stuff like that. That it's all just we influence them. Therefore, you can't take it. You can't take it. You have to take it with a bit of salt. And I understand the argument, but it's so universal, though. Do you really think that trade and word of mouth is that so dynamically intrusive?
Right.
It usually works out to be more of, oh, we like this little bit and we take it and we kind of mold it into our existing culture. We don't usually take things full form. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I
Right.
kind of disagree with that, but just for the sake of the argument, the conversation, I understand that historians will kind of say that. But
Yeah.
to continue to finish the point, you go to all these other places and they have the same damn stories about giants. Is my point.
Yep.
Uh,
They're
and I th-
everywhere.
it is, and I think the problem is a lot of people have the kind of the fanciful, dark age, Middle Ages, or medieval time, and of course modern Hollywood take on giants. And you'll see giants that are 20, 30, 50 foot tall. This is never mentioned.
Right.
No one talks about giants like that. The giants are like 10 foot or so. 8 to
Yeah.
10 feet. Or
Which, in
13 feet.
fairness, for the average human back then, that's pretty damn
It's
big
damn big.
comparatively.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
for us. It would be huge, right?
Yeah. It'd be
Imagine,
very like, whoa, what the hell?
well, imagine taking Randy Orton, who we were talking about earlier. Now, Randy, I don't know, but I've always felt is about my height, right?
Yeah, it's
He's
six
a
three.
Yeah, there you go. But imagine taking Randy, that frickin' Hulk, that beast machine that is Randy
Hmm.
Orton, and doubling his size.
Yeah. He's just twice as tall now.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
that dude would be in charge of wherever the hell he decided to sit.
Yes. He's now sir, and you will call him sir.
That's right. You
It's very
kind of
simple.
It already is true. It would
You're not
be
even you're not changing anything. You're not even really acknowledging it. It just is.
it
This
is.
simply is now.
It would go from the truth that it is now to a thousandfold true.
That's right.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, that's one of the reasons. Like you can even to this day, the person even in America in our elections for president and whatnot, the one who usually wins is the taller one.
Yeah,
The
that's
all throughout
a man
history,
thing. Yeah,
very tall, very tall people, very tall men are
yeah.
very often leaders of whatever, kings or warlords, whatever
Usually,
they become.
I
Yeah.
don't know what
Um,
happened with Russia, but it is.
yes.
Putin's a little dude.
He is a
Yeah.
little dude, but he's tall in other ways. He's got a lot of presence. I think
Oh,
that's how you have
dude,
to overcome it if you're small.
have you ever seen that meme, "Wide Putin"?
He's very wide
It,
boy.
dude, it's
Very wide
but
boy.
it's cool as shit, though. I
Yeah.
feel like I have to see that now. I'm gonna go get
But
it.
he's just one of those guys. He's got that it
Presence,
factor
yeah,
about him. Yeah,
ridiculous,
he just
yeah,
takes over a room when he walks into it. It's insane. It's like
yeah,
Trump.
yeah,
Just
no,
walks in and that's his room now. It's as
yeah.
simple as that.
Yeah, no. Okay, okay. Thank you for your advertisement, ma'am. Yeah, no. Okay, ma'am. Okay. All right. My wife has fears of falling off of beds, by the way. even though I've never
Oh,
seen her
yeah.
fall off a bed. I guess when she was
Do
a
you even
child, she may
have a
have.
bed? I thought you slept on the floor like a proper
Well,
Japanese
I
couple.
got one recently, and of course, we stay in hotels all the time. Here we go.
I see.
Here we go. You guys ready for the wide Putin? Here's the wide Putin.
It's in wide angle lens.
I know it's awesome, dude. It's so awesome. Yeah, I should play
That's
music.
so
I don't. I
silly.
don't.
That's so silly.
Make sure I have my mic on the proper one. Yeah, it is. He did the authority this little dude walks with though is impressive, dude.
It is. It's impressive. It's very Caesarean. You just his every room he's in is his. He's certain of it.
I do love
I
when
I
they.
say,
Yeah, go ahead.
I say it all the time. As much as he's an asshole, no doubt. But we should be grateful that he's the asshole that is in Russia and he has this much chutzpah to
Yeah,
take over that whole country. Because if it was anybody else, there'd be a lot more problems in the world. A lot more.
yeah, that is cool as shit though. Yeah, but this guy, Putin is a thing, dude. He is a thing.
Is this the Kremlin that he's walking through? This place
Yeah,
is ridiculous.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Or the
ridiculous.
red keep, the red keep maybe.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
How big it is. Like, imagine he has to do this probably every day. He has to walk this. He's walking a mile just inside this building.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty fit. I mean, he does his
Mm.
judo and stuff, and I saw him doing it recently as well. He's older, he's an older dude, but he's always tried to stay fit. But if you go
Yeah,
to Russia, there's not a lot of fat people in Russia.
no.
They're
Well, there
they're
wouldn't be in America if our food wasn't
that's
poisoned.
true. They're fairly fit people. Because they do tend to walk around a lot. And that's one thing I notice here because, every day I get up and I do my little 30-minute thing every day, unless it's really just throwing down rain, right?
Yep.
Um, but because I travel all the time and I like taking my little hotel weekends, right? When I go
Right.
to the cities, which I will be doing here quite shortly, in June actually, of course, you're walking around the city, you're using the subway system, you're doing all that kind of stuff. Dude, you get my legs get sore, right?
Right.
We just don't realize how little we actually walk, even if you think you're active, because I'm fairly active, but I'm not, you know?
Comparatively. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bazookas till I feel 7 foot tall. Okay, Alan. Very good. Alan's a little guy. Yeah.
And get them leg extensions. We've solved this problem already. You see.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Chester? The
The
leg
Gattaca thing
extensions?
has become real. Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of
I was
pain to go through, though, dude. That's a lot of pain.
Oh, just to be over 6 foot tall. But it was funny because I was at Easter with my sisters today. Um, one of them, I think it was my middle sister, said something about, man, men are really weird about their height, right? Because a lot of men are very self conscious about it, especially if they're not very tall.
I
And
wonder
and I
why.
just and I just said, yeah, thanks to women, that's why. Because so many of you are so weird about height, even though you're all short as shit. And my sisters aren't really like this, but they're both like 5 foot tall, basically. Even though you're all short as shit, for some reason you all want guys who are 6 foot tall. Why? Why do you care? They're going to be taller. Most men are going to be taller than you anyway, unless you go
Right.
out and get somebody who's literally
Well,
got some kind of stunted growth problem.
I kind of understand what the women thinking on that. That's just the DNA kicking in of wanting the best DNA stuff.
Yeah, but
But
why specifically 6 feet? Because actually,
yeah,
genetically speaking, a man around 5'10", 5'9" to 5'11" is probably going to be healthier than a man over 6 foot tall in the end.
yeah,
So what
maybe,
is it about the height that, because they have lower heart problems, they
yeah.
will usually live a lot longer. What is it about this number that matters so much to women?
I
It's
don't know.
very weird.
I've never had this problem.
Well, you're a giant. Of
That's
course
true.
not.
Yeah.
I've seen men who are just ugly. Let's just call them what they are. They're not a handsome. They're not even pleasant to look at.
Mhm.
They're usually not even nice, but they're tall, and women just love them because
Oh yeah.
just because they're tall.
Oh
That's
yeah.
it. That's all they
Yeah.
needed.
Well, dude, and the factor you were talking about earlier is real. I mean, I walk into a room, I don't even have to speak. I'm automatically have authority.
Yep, because you're
Yeah.
tall.
Yeah. It's very true. It's a true
One of the
thing.
other ways, if you're a short guy, is just get in really really good shape.
Yep.
Get in really really good
Yep.
shape, and it'll do something. similar, have give you a
Yeah.
similar effect.
Oh yeah. No, I've never had to be in just I mean, I've had times where I was in really good shape because I was doing sport, but I mean, I've never had to be just this cut figure to get female
Mhm.
attention ever. Alan says that leg extensions would make him look like a T-Rex. All right.
You should do it for that reason alone, Alan.
Yeah.
Who doesn't wanna be a
You
T-Rex?
forgot your hyphen there. That word requires a hyphen, Alan.
True. Accurate.
Anyway, let me go over here and see what else I got for us today. Interesting conversation though. Giant stuff's always cool, um, because it's a what. And the problem with it is, if we would just get someone, you know, officially to do like a full-on study, let's put a 10-year study into it, collect all the information we got. It would be cool.
Right.
But the problem is, there's so many topics that I could say the same thing about, right? Who's going to be the
Yes.
big fight today, by the way?
The big match is Cena versus Cody for the title.
Could Cena
And
possibly go away?
Cena's probably gonna win his 17th championship, I'd imagine. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Anyway, Henry Cavill's Highlander reboot now at Amazon Studios. Have you noticed that Cavill and Amazon just keep getting closer?
yeah, he's got 3 projects with them now.
And I have a
And
feeling, I have a sneaking suspicion it's gonna be 4 when he gets the James Bond role that
maybe.
everybody knows he should have. There's
Right.
literally no
Right.
one else on earth that should have it more than him, and everybody knows it.
Right. And with Amazon, we know they can be woke, but we also know that they cannot be woke. Because at
Right.
Amazon, it seems to depend on the team you're with, really. Which
And Henry
I'm cool with.
seems to be in charge of his projects, or at least have a lot of creative power in him.
Well,
So,
he's stubborn.
yes,
So,
good. He's a nerd. He's had
um,
enough. He's one of the only ones who will actually defend all of us, Chester. He will actually openly defend all of us because if you remember, there's a video. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's an interview out there of of some interviewer trying to get him to, basically shit on fans who are too passionate because they say mean things on the internet.
uh-huh.
And he's like, "Well, yeah, but, they're allowed to. Why wouldn't they say what they're do you want them to like, the alternative is they don't give a shit, basically." He doesn't say it like that, but that's what he means. So, of course, that's a good thing. You should want them to be passionate. If they don't care, that's not a good thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, this interview, it's very interesting. He's on our side, Chester. He's one of us, Henry.
No,
He just
no,
looks
I
like a
know he
Greek
is.
god. He looks like he
Well,
was choosing
and
out of granite.
and good for him, right? Good for
Yeah.
him. And Roger requests that we not talk about female Silver Surfer. No, Roger. No. Okay. But now this is what I want to talk about in regards to this because we know this is happening. It is a thing. It was supposed to be over in Lionsgate, but some deal was made and now it's under Amazon. And they have a director chosen. Of course, they got their star. This is happening. It's moving forward, right?
I have a
So
question.
yeah.
Is this a picture actually from the
No, this
movie?
is say some AI generated thing. They
I
haven't
thought
started
so.
shooting yet.
That's what I thought.
But yeah, it's to the point that it's like, all right, we got our team. Let's get to it. We know who our lead is. Now we got to flesh everything else out. Sounds like they have a
Sure.
really good script and that was a big decider. It seems the script that they have, they really like. They felt that Lionsgate couldn't pull it off, but Amazon could, and that's the main reason for the shift. So that's all good news. But what I want to talk about in regards to this, because we've mentioned stuff with Henry here for quite a while, and how he's been ultimately pretty screwed by Hollywood so far, in my opinion.
He is.
But
For no reason. No one knows why. They just keep screwing this
you know
guy.
why? Because he refuses to say "fuck you, fans." That's why.
Pretty much, that's gotta be that's the
It
only
is
thing that
what it
even
is.
makes sense.
He's
That's
not
the only thing that makes sense.
on board. But what I want to talk about in regards to that is none of that shit. I want to talk about him as Conor McGregor. Because
Conor McGregor?
that's who he's supposed to be,
Do you
right?
mean Conor McLeod?
No, no, I'm going with the guy who's going to be the new prime minister of Ireland.
No,
That's
no, I believe he's gonna be the king of Ireland. I
I
think he's
hope
gonna just
so.
say,
I
screw
hope
this whole
so.
system. We're going back to the old
That's
ways. Give
right.
me a crown,
That's
or
right.
somebody come stop me,"
Yeah.
is what he's basically gonna
But
say.
of course, Connor McLeod. But now let's talk about it for a minute, because 3 people, well, 2, and this upcoming third, have portrayed Connor McLeod.
Yeah.
Now the first one we had was a Frenchman who could barely speak English and was basically blind. What was his name again?
Oh, come on. He also plays Raiden in the
He
first Mortal
does,
Kombat
and
movie.
he's also in the movie Fortress.
What the hell is his name, Chester? What's happening here?
I
Why don't
know
we
I
know his
had it
name?
earlier, and then it's not, and it's gone. Let's see here. Highlander. Chris. Chris. Christopher Lambert. There it is. Okay.
Christopher Lambert.
Yeah,
There
Chris.
it is. We
Now,
got there.
Now, Christopher Lambert, like I said, is a Frenchman who barely speaks English. He's half blind, more than half blind, but everyone really enjoyed the first movie. We won't talk about anything after that, but the first movie, people had a lot of fun with it. I have a feeling that Clancy Brown had a lot to do with the success of that movie, including Sean Connery's little bit.
Well, and
Uh,
the soundtrack from
and the
Queen.
soundtrack from
That helps.
Queen was just epic. So there was a lot of elements going into that. But let's talk about Christopher Lambert as Highlander, though. Was he a good
Yep.
Highlander?
Well, I guess we have to define what that means. Like, was he a good Scotsman? Because no, he wasn't
He
believable as
was
a
a horrible
Scotsman.
Scotsman, absolutely awful Scotsman. But was
Yeah,
he a good Highlander for the role, you think?
I think he did a good job. I like. Well, here's what I'll give him. He has a really cool voice. That voice box of his is very interesting. And that's why he made. In my opinion, I actually liked him as Raiden. Um,
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
and I think it worked because of that. I think that gets him a lot of purchase having a unique voice. But as far as like any of the other stuff, the swordsmanship, the sword play, the physical presence, I don't think he ever really brought that,
No,
to be honest. Now,
I agree.
Henry is going to bring the shit out of that.
Well, no,
That's going
don't
to be
get
most of
ahead of
his.
yourself now. Come on. We're
Chester,
going
we
in
watched The Witcher.
order. We did. And his sword play is going to be freaking epic, dude. Oh my
It's
god,
going to be so good.
he's so
It's going to
good
be
at
so good.
that. I don't know
Yeah.
why he should be that good at that. He was given way too many gifts. I don't know what God was
Yep.
doing on that day.
He just said, "You get them all." He
Yeah,
said,
you get
"Here."
them
He's going to
all.
hand them out.
Here we just.
Yeah.
You know what I think it was? I think he was distracted and something spilled.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, the fight scenes are going to be freaking epic. We know this. But let's go to the next one though, because I don't want to be mean to Christopher, but I don't really think he was a great Highlander. I think it was so many things that made that movie great beyond that.
Yep.
And I truly Clancy Brown is the linchpin of that movie, in my opinion. Right? Um,
Kurgan.
the Kurgan dude, he was so good as the Kurgan, right? But anyway, let's go to the next one. We had a TV show that lasted quite a while. I didn't watch hardly any of it because I think I just came in it came into it too late or something. But I didn't
Right.
watch much of it. It was quite popular. It went for how many seasons?
8, I think.
It was
And then they
long,
did a bunch of movies. Yeah. I
and
like
that
that show a
and
lot,
that
actually.
guy's
That was a
name
good
was Adrian
Paul.
Paul. Adrian Paul. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This would be the franchiser here. Franchise maybe, or let me just do TV shows.
Oh boy, we got Stone Cold in the house, and he's driving a four-wheeler around. He just crashed a four-wheeler. He's just
The hell is
sorry.
the hell is he
I don't know what
doing?
he's doing here. He just crashed the four-wheeler, now he's getting off, and he said, "Ah, screw it."
Oh, at least he's, yeah, Adrian Paul. Now, like I said, I don't have 6 seasons. All right. And it went 22, 22, 22, 22, 18, and 13. So a lot of episodes.
Yep.
119 to be specific. And yeah, a lot of people like the show and like Adrian Paul as it. I've seen a couple of episodes, and I thought he was just a little bit too pris for me. But I don't have the actual knowledge because I didn't watch the thing. You did. So tell me about Adrian Paul.
Adrian Paul's much better.
Oh, certainly.
When it comes
I agree. Yeah.
to the physicality, when it comes to uh, one of the things that I don't think Lambert ever really did very well, which is odd because he did it well with Raiden, is he never felt old. He never felt ancient, right? He's supposed to be hundreds of years old by the
Right.
time of the movie. and he just never really, I don't know, he just felt like a guy. Whereas Paul did a really good job of when it was in modern times, you could kind of see the weight on him a little bit. One of the things, for instance, we got Doctor Who back before they completely ruined it, and Matt Smith did. Even though Matt was the youngest Doctor ever, I believe, he had this a way to just carry himself that made him feel older when he would move, right?
Yeah.
And the way he would look, some of
Was
his
he the really
looks.
cool guy?
No, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. He's the one who was after Tennant. He's
Oh
Matt.
yes,
He's the
I
one.
didn't. He looked like
He
a homosexual.
well, yeah, but he did a good job with it, largely because of what I said. He had this ability to make himself look and feel older than he is. Uh, and that was something that Adrian Paul, I think, did very well too. He had this ability to make himself look and feel ancient, and he also the fight scenes I think were just really, really good. They're some of the best fight scenes in television ever, especially
They
sword
weren't
fights.
bad.
They're
They
really
weren't
good.
bad. I
Yeah,
certainly saw it. It's better than the CW stuff.
yeah, oh
So
yeah.
that's definitely true. But as
And he
far
had
as
enough physical charisma, right? Because I think that's the thing that you need with a character like this is they have to have that physical charisma. They don't have to say much and still get your attention. They have to be able to what they call smolder, basically, in Hollywood.
oh
And
yeah,
obviously,
the je
Henry
ne sais
can
quoi.
do all of that. Yeah, Henry
Yeah.
can do all of that.
Now, as far as Doctor Who though, David Tennant, even though he's a woke shit,
Yeah,
he was the best Doctor really. But the guy
yeah.
just before him, what was his name?
Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah. Now he was the cool guy, right? He was cool. He was like a
Well,
dude
he
in a
he
leather
he
jacket.
wore yeah, he wore a leather jacket and stuff. He was still pretty much the Doctor, but he wore a leather jacket. He dressed more normal
Yeah,
than
but
most of the rest of them.
I'm just saying I would have liked to have seen a lot more of that guy.
So would he have. He hated the show,
That's
and I
too
think he
bad.
really just hated. I think he just hated Russell T Davies, the showrunner. Um, and it drew. When that happens, that's what happens basically. I think he only signed up for 1 year anyway. He did his job. His job was to resurrect it, and that's what he did. It. And he got out.
Yeah, it's
But
unfortunate. I really liked him as the Doctor.
yeah, he was really good. So
Although, like I
was
said, it gave us David Tennant, who was amazing.
oh yeah, David Tennant was phenomenal. Matt Smith was really good too. Like I said, the ancient thing was pretty cool. Then you had uh going back to Mr. Paul. I mean, look at that. That picture's from 2015. The man aged very well.
Yeah, he's always a
2015
good
was
looking dude.
yeah, he's a good looking guy. It's one of the things like as much as we don't like to admit it, that stuff's important. And Lambert, he's not bad looking, but he's not. I wouldn't consider him anything special to look at. Uh,
No, I
It's
wouldn't either.
important on a camera. It's very important to the camera. The camera loves very specific
Yeah,
features,
that
and if you
guy.
don't have them, it's hard to manufacture interest to the eye because
Yeah.
this is a visual medium we're doing. So one of the good things about Highlander is it's should, if it's done well, lean rule of cool before anything else,
Oh, dude, the rule of cool is
right?
very important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Kurgan's awesome. That's why Adrian Paul was good as Duncan MacLeod. Because you can tell he's just cool. Like he's that guy.
Yeah.
Our boy Henry is also that guy when he wants to be. So
Well,
it's gonna be good.
yeah,
It's
but
gonna
I
be
love
good.
Christopher Eccleston because he was another thing about him is he's so British.
He's very British.
He's very
That's a
British.
that's a
Uh,
Britsman
yeah,
right there. That is a
these are
Brit.
a lot of effeminate Brits, but that's a Brit. That's a bloke, as they would say.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it was men like him who conquered the world.
yeah,
Men like him. Yeah.
yeah,
But look at
and raped your
Henry's
daughter.
gonna kill this, bro.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, this is gonna be as long as the directors and the scripts, don't suck. This is gonna be this is going to be something special because we've seen him as Geralt. He killed it. It's not, if you could have just did 10-minute episodes of just him being Geralt, it would have been the best show ever made.
that's right.
It was amazing. He killed it as
Yeah,
in the
but
sword fights,
you'd
killed it.
you'd be lucky if you even got 10 minutes of him in his own show.
I know, that was
Um,
the problem.
that's the
They kept
problem.
the absolute best part of it wasn't in it.
And honestly, if they were just smart, and that's the problem with these people, they're not smart. If they had just
Right.
called it The Witcher Chronicles, Yennefer,
Yes.
they would have been fine. right?
Yeah.
And you could have had him doing his little cameo stuff that he did, and we would all know, okay, we're watching the story of Yennefer. Because
Or what
honestly,
they
the
could have
story of
done
Yennefer was pretty good.
what they could have done if they were smart, as you said, is they could have done the Witcher Chronicles, do Yennefer, do some of the other ones, some of the other characters, and then build into movies just called The Witcher with him as and have him be in it,
And
like
just
you
do
said, doing like
popcorn action.
cameo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just let it just be what it is. But no, they're not smart. We
Yeah,
couldn't
that's all
have
they had to do. There was one.
movies.
That's the one. They just do that, right? But whatever. Yes, I agree 100% because I've seen his sword work and it's spectacular.
Yeah,
Henry is a great action star. He's really good
he
at it.
is.
And So the fight scenes are going to be awesome. We know he can act. He's actually not one of those ones that's like, well, the acting's okay. No, he's actually a pretty solid actor. He's very, very, very functional, right? And Of course, we know the story of the Highlander. It's very simple. He finds out he's an immortal over time. At the now the original movie we got, of course, was that it's the last fight in the modern time between him and the Kurgan, and he becomes the one. And then they made a second movie, and someone should have been shot multiple times in the face. However, this time I think what they're probably going to do, this is going to be a movie, I guess.
Yes.
But what they should do is look at, come up with an actual good story of why the Highlander, why the Immortals exist. You don't need this in-depth, super wicked cosmology, but give something a little bit better. And I would imagine that the Adrian Paul series probably did that. Now, did the Adrian Paul series stick with the second movie's origin that they're all a bunch of aliens and they were punished and sent to relive their lives on Earth? I mean, is this the story?
Don't think so because the problem with it was they eventually kind of merged them, and Connor would show up occasionally, and then they did some movies with Adrian Paul as the lead. Um, but they did get to like a point where I think it was Highlander Endgame, is that's actually the name of the movie, where they show what they call the source, which is where the immortal energy comes. Because when they die, they do all this big exploding and everything. Where that comes from, but I don't know if they explain where that comes from. They just explain that that's where they
The
get their power.
quickening, yeah, the quickening.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, if I understand correctly, Adrian plays a character called Duncan MacLeod, not Connor MacLeod.
yeah. It's his distant cousin,
Right.
effectively. Like I think he's like 100 or
So
200 years younger
is
than
Henry
Connor.
playing Duncan or is he playing Connor?
I don't know. I'm assuming Connor, since that's the more canon to the movies.
Yeah, because just because they own the movie rights doesn't mean they own the TV rights, right?
Right.
Yeah. But they need to flesh out a little bit of cosmology. In the first movie, they don't need to go so crazy about it. A little bit. But there needs to be some proper cosmology because what they did with that second movie, I mean, it's it's kind of hard to believe you can go so hard in the wrong direction. It's kind of
Right.
like, we don't like Endgame, but even Endgame didn't go that hard.
Right.
I mean, it's insane, and in some ways, I suggest you watch the second Highlander just to understand the ridiculousness of what I just said and how true it is. It's insane what they did with the second one, dude. It's like, what were they smoking?
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
will be right back real quick.
yeah. But anyway, with this right here, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's the acting required isn't so heavy for Henry. I think he'll do just fine with it. The swordplay will be spectacular, which is really what it is. It's an action popcorn movie. And of course, him doing the romantic scenes, which of course there will be, is a lot more believable than either Adrian Paul or Christopher Lambert, because the ladies rather like this fellow. He is the quintessential Hollywood glamour, isn't he? But yeah, so they don't tell us they have a story. It's ready. They don't tell us what it is, which is fine. But we'll find out because it's moving now. It is moving. So cool. I'm looking forward to it. Now he was talking about this. This is from yesterday, I guess. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about WrestleMania since it's ongoing. Of course, Thundero's been watching it live here, and I guess currently we have Steve Austin drinking beer and doing something, which is what he does. Is he fighting? Is he just being a referee, which he does a lot of, or is he just was he just doing some kind of cameo scene? I don't know. But Steve definitely knows how to get a damn crowd moving, though. That's for damn sure. That's probably his greatest strength. And I'm kind of wondering also, is Rock in play at all, because he kind of put a sour taste in people's mouth last year, right? I wonder how that's going. I'll have to ask Thunder when he comes back. But Seth Rollins had himself an ongoing feud, I guess, with something that was going on between CM
Would you like
Punk
me to
and
explain it, Chester?
Roman Reigns. Yeah, well, in a second. But Paul Heyman ended up being on the side, and I love the fact that Paul Heyman is still Paul Heymanging in the
Yeah.
WWE. What has it been now? 40 years now? 30 years. Goodness
40,
gracious, Paul Heyman.
40,
40, yeah.
40. He started in the 80s, so it's
Yeah.
got to be close to 40.
Unbelievable. Good for him, dude. And he looks
'Cause
great. I mean,
he started really young. He
well,
started
that's
like
a
in his late
70-year-old
teens.
old man standing in front of you. He looks real good, dude.
Yeah, he's not bad. Well, one of the reasons is because he's kept some weight on him. That's one of the things. Like I've said this on here before. I think through your 40s to your about 60s, you want to lean up. But if you can start putting on a little bit of weight after in your 60s and 70s, you'll usually look a lot better as you age
Yeah, that's
because it
fair.
just it eats. Your body starts to kind of decay basically,
Yeah, yeah.
and that having that little bit. Like look at William Shatner, right? He looks great for 90 whatever he
He
is,
does.
95 I think.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
do think that whole thing with the girls did the same. Bezos is basically an amusement park ride where you can get on a rocket, go up. It's like a 10, 11
yeah,
minute thing. And remember way back, William Shatner did it, right? And
yes.
of course, everyone's like, "Hey, Captain Kirk finally got to space a little bit." And of course, when he came down, William was like, "Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you all. That was really cool." He was, as you would expect, magnanimous. Because a lot of people get him for arrogance, but that dude knows when to turn it on and when to turn it off. Of course,
Hmm.
these girls did the same thing Shatner did, but they were like, "We are better than Neil Armstrong. We are amazing." It was like the stupidest, most vapid thing. It was like, "What are you doing?" It's
What are you
literally like
talking?
an amusement park ride, which I would love to do, by the way. It's cool, but it was so stupid. But anyway, yeah. I was kind of initially wondering, is Steve Austin fighting, or is he just being Steve Austin?
He was just being Steve Austin. He came out to announce the attendance and then have some beer and let fireworks go off.
Oh, and
Over
there
the
you
two
go.
nights they've had about 125,000 people in that stadium over 2 nights, which
Sure.
is a lot of people and a
Yeah,
lot of
good for
money.
them, dude. Good for them.
But back to this here storyline.
Yeah, yeah,
So basically, this is a very old storyline. Roman and Seth were in the Shield, as you
yes.
know,
Which I didn't
um,
like, but okay.
and they came in storyline at the behest of Paul Heyman to protect CM Punk's championship when he was
Yep,
champion.
and fuck
That
CM
was
Punk
why
as
they
well.
came in.
Okay,
Yeah, and then they basically ended up fucking CM Punk, like you said. So basically, this storyline was that, but then it became a kind of over Paul because Punk and Paul were obviously allies from way back when, and Roman and Paul have been, he's been his wise man for 5 years now, give or take, and so it kind of became over that. So basically, Paul owed Punk a favor for helping out in War Games. He helped out Roman's team in War Games, right?
okay.
His favor he cashed in for last night, which was for him to come down to the ring with him and be his manager for the night. Was the favor screwing with basically just screwing with Roman's head, getting in Roman's head.
Right.
Uh, and then they had their little triple threat match between all three of them, and lo and behold, uh, Paul Heyman did the most Paul Heyman thing imaginable and betrayed both Roman and Punk and handed a chair to Seth, who hit Roman with the chair and then hit him with his finishing move and won. So
Uh,
now he's allied with
sweet.
Seth.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go. Well,
because of
Paul
course he is,
Paul
because
Heyman's
he's Paul Heyman.
he's a survivor and he's a winner. So good for you, Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
But now, am I wrong here, or is Seth Rollins got a little bit of that steroid stomach going on?
Well, I don't know if it's steroid stomach or if he's just not in as good a shape as he used to be.
Okay, that's
He's
fair.
he went away for a while because his wife had a kid, and he was hurt and stuff, but that was
Right.
part of it too. He came back, he was just never quite in because he used to be just shredded. He was never quite in that shape again, and he hasn't
Yeah,
been. That's actually probably the best shape he's been in a while.
I see. Well, Roman needed some healing too. He's had some pretty serious health issues, hasn't he?
Oh, he had leukemia. He still has it.
Yeah.
Um, it's in remission, but it'll never be gone. He takes cancer medication every day. He said daily he takes something, whatever it is, to keep basically try and keep it in remission so it doesn't come back.
Yeah, it's a 7-year cycle, and if it doesn't come back after that, then you're probably good, but it could come back. So it
He had it in his early 20s and then had it again a couple like in 2019, I think 2018, 2019 it came back and then it went back into remission obviously and
yeah.
he came back and started wrestling. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
it is what it
other
is.
than that
It's
he hasn't had too many injuries or whatever, but he's on a pretty much a part-time schedule now,
right.
Roman is.
Yeah, but no, the leukemia is in the bone, so
Yep.
it's something that can always be there. Unfortunately, I know because my daughter had leukemia, right?
Yeah.
So I'm well versed in it. But yeah, that sucks for him. I've never been a big Roman Reigns fan, but that sucks though. Definitely.
It does.
Yeah.
Especially since he's got 5 kids and he's a good dude. Been married to the same woman this whole time that they since college, I think. Far as I know, there's never been even a whiff of a scandal when it comes to him, like that kind
Oh,
of stuff. He's apparently a Trump supporter. Came out, he voted for Trump in the last
cool.
election. I don't know if I'd call him a supporter, but he voted for Trump.
Well, you would think
Um,
WWE would be kind of leaning into the Trump stuff. I
they're not
mean,
though. The UFC does hard, but they don't. I don't know why.
yeah,
I
you'd
don't.
think they
I'm
would.
sure there's a reason.
Now, is he an USO or just an USO?
He is their cousin.
So he is a, because USO just means like brother, right? In the
Right.
Polynesian
Yeah.
languages, but you also
So
have
there's
the
two
tribe that
families.
is the USO in wrestling, right?
There's 2 families, right? So there's the Anoa'i, which is what he is. His real name is Joe Anoa'i, Joseph Anoa'i, and then there's the Fatus. And they're not technically by blood related. They have
Mhm.
what's called like a blood brother situation, basically, and they consider each other all family.
Sure.
So that's how it works, basically. It's like you said, a tribe, basically,
Which
tribal
one
thing.
is Rock connected to?
The Fatus, I believe.
Okay.
I believe. I could be
Because they
wrong
had a
though.
lot of those in his one of his Fast and Furious movies. They had a bunch of those guys,
Yes.
wrestler guys.
Yes. Even Roman was in one of them. Yep.
Yeah, which is cool. But because I do know they use the word brother, USO,
Right.
as kind of this group in the WWE
Well,
that's been around forever.
they do call Roman Us. That's what they call it when
I
they
see.
talk, like the other ones do when they talk to him. That's what they call
I see.
him. Yeah.
No, it's good for these families, and like Orton, of course, is a legacy wrestler as well. As is Cody. A lot of these guys have been able to kind of continue the family legacy. Not all of them, but some of them
No.
certainly had. But it is
No.
cool to see Paul Heyman doing his thing. He's pretty good at what he does. Paul.
Oh, he's one of the best. We were talking about this last night. Me and our good friend Grimlock and Captain Canada. He's, in my opinion, one or two. It's either him or Bobby the Brain Heenan are the two greatest managers of all time. Like Heyman's amazing. His performances he puts on and has been putting on for about 40 years are just unbelievable.
Mhm.
And obviously, Bobby the Brain was Bobby the Brain, but
Yeah, no,
uh,
he was good at selling wrestling. There was another guy who was big for a while. I never cared for the Mouth of the South. What was his name?
Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of him, but I'm not going to take away. He did add something to the sport,
Oh yeah,
so
yeah. No, he was good. He did his job. He
he
did his
did.
job.
But I
It's one of the things
ne-
that's been lost is the manager. One of the things that Heenan used to do, and a lot of the managers back then, but definitely him, was what they called the Heenan family, where he basically just had like a company that he managed, a whole
yeah,
bunch of guys. I don't know. I wish they kind of bring that back. I thought that was a cool idea. It makes sense, right? Like
I thought
why would he only manage one guy?
Right. I thought Gigi Woo was doing that kind of stuff, or is he dead?
No, he's still alive, but he's chilling. He's
Yeah.
chilling.
I figured he'd become like like a man, a bad man, evil manager. He was kind of that way the whole time anyway.
Yeah, a bit. Ah,
Let's see here. Maple Chic says Paul is just above Sonny Ono.
this guy.
All right. But anyway,
He's
I
trying
thought
to start
the
trouble. Trying to
yeah,
start trouble.
I just thought this was
Ah.
kind of an interesting thing. Just to talk about WrestleMania a little bit, and it's interesting that they're having WrestleMania on Easter.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. That's very unusual,
Yeah,
especially in Vegas. Like, what? Wait, what? What?
yeah.
It's very unusual. It's because WrestleMania is usually not this late. It's freaking almost the end of. It is the end of April. Usually WrestleMania is at the beginning of April or even late March. I don't know why it got pushed back so far.
Alan says Bobby Heenan was the goat. Yeah, Bobby was good at what he did, for sure, for sure.
Bobby the
There
Brain.
there are, but I mean there are a few people who are essentially responsible for wrestling being what it is who aren't even wrestlers. I
That's right.
mean, JR, there's no way you could take that guy is so influential in the history of wrestling, right?
Yes.
And of course, Mr. McMahon, obviously. There's a certain group of people who weren't wrestlers, but they were essential to wrestling being what it is today, without question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Um, I mean, it's weird because with Vince McMahon, because he's Vince McMahon, most of his in-ring, on-screen career, he was either the evil authority guy or basically just a manager. So
Yeah.
it's interesting how he doesn't get put in those conversations because I think it's largely because he was Vince, but also because he did everything, right? He
No,
was
no.
he wasn't
Vince
afraid to do anything.
is modern wrestling. You don't have it without
Yeah.
Vince McMahon. That's end of conversation. Who would you say is the most influential wrestler in history that isn't Hulk Hogan?
Ooh, that's tough.
Because
Well, it
I know a lot
depends.
of shit's coming on Hulk recently, but you can't take Hulk's
No, he's the
influence
Babe. He's
away.
the Babe Ruth of pro wrestling.
Yeah,
It's
he
not even
is. Yeah,
debatable. Uh, Influential is a big word because
it
what do you
is.
mean? Do you mean influential to the
Spread
general
the
audience?
sport to the level it is today.
Um, Austin,
Yeah, Steve
is a big
Austin.
one.
Yeah,
He technically broke most of Hogan's records that he had set when he was at the top of the company. Um, Today, Roman's up there. He carried the company through some bad years. He just
sure.
did. There's no doubt about it. Cody's huge right now. But influential is a big. That's why it's a big word because it
Yeah, it's
it depends
none
what you
of those
mean.
people
I,
fall
I
into the
would say
category.
I would say Cena, but for the wrong reasons. Cena gets a lot, and you know me, I don't like John Cena. He's wrestling Cody right now, actually. But Cena, during Cena's time at the top, the business shrank more than I think it had ever shrank in the history of pro wrestling. Uh, and people want to glaze over that because and make excuses and this and that, and some of that's valid. But at the end of the day, if you're the top guy, if you're the face of the industry, which it happens, there's always been one or two or three, but there's always been a handful of guys, and the industry's suffering under you, you you get the stink.
Yeah,
Period.
no, no,
Like
that's I get your
you
point.
get the
I get
stink.
your point. And Alan over here said The Rock, like it or not. No, I don't agree with that at all. Wrestling fans know The Rock, but if you're not a wrestling fan, The Rock is famous because he's a Hollywood movie star.
Yeah.
I don't think, as far as what I'm talking about, moving the sport forward, I don't think The
Mhm.
Rock played a very big part in that at all. I don't even think John
Um,
Cena did.
as
Steve
far
Austin,
well,
I'd
no, I
agree
think he
with.
did the other thing. I think he did the other thing. I think he moved it backwards. Cena
Yeah, but
did.
no, I would agree
Um,
with Steve Austin though, because like over here in Japan, you'll never hear anyone talk about John Cena or The Rock or any of those guys, but they love Steve Austin over here.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Austin, he's one of those guys. And the
Hulk
best thing
Hogan,
about
yeah,
Austin for him, and it even though it does suck because his career was cut short, the fact that it was cut short actually probably helped him overall
maybe, yeah,
because it helped his legacy because now it was this nice little. boxed in. He was only a wrestler for 13 years total, and he was only Stone Cold for like, I think 6 of those years as an active wrestler. So that's not that long, honestly. Especially for like Cena was 15, 20 years as John Cena. Hogan did it from 1980 something till he retired. So over 30 years. Like that's not a super long time to find once you find your thing,
Yeah.
right? That's they usually run with it. Like Macho Man, he ran with Macho Man. There was different iterations of it, sure, but he was still Macho Man Randy Savage, right? Uh, for instance. So it's very, very rare for a guy, especially to get to the level that Austin did, which very few have ever even gotten near it, uh, to have such a short run, such a short thing at the
Right.
top.
No, that's true.
And he did, and I think it actually kind of helps his mystique or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
the legend of Steve Austin. Um, but let's see, influential, move the
Yeah.
thing forward.
Move the thing
Well, you
forward.
could also go if you're just talking about in like audience and whatever. You can go all the way back to the 50s and stuff and talk about like Gorgeous George and those guys who
Yeah.
were the people who brought
That's
it to
fair.
television,
That is
stuff like
fair.
that. You can
Macho
also,
Man.
but you also got to factor in the people who move the athletics of it forward. So a lot of those are going to be Japanese wrestlers, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
A lot of those Japanese wrestlers they just so inventive and came up with so many interesting things.
Because they're
Honestly,
little.
of the modern era, the one who doesn't get the credit he deserves is Scott Steiner. So
Oh,
many moves that
Scott.
are just
Yeah.
basic moves now. He just invented them. He came up with them.
Yeah.
Just
That
those are
is
his.
true. The Steiner brothers did quite a bit. Yeah. But as far as you're talking, You're not talking about what I'm talking about though. But let's see. Alan's talking about Macho Man, maybe a little bit. The Ultimate Warrior, for his very short time that he was a thing, which I lived through, the influence of the Ultimate Warrior at that time was enormous. It was. And of course, the even the press was talking about him and stuff, which is therefore moving the sport forward. So I would agree, Ultimate Warrior, even though it was a very short period, more than Randy. Even though I love Macho Man, and Ultimate Warrior was a flash in the pan. Let's be honest. But the Ultimate Warrior caught headlines, right?
Mhm.
Where Macho Man didn't really, outside of the
Um,
wrestling
the
fandom, right?
the other person that we haven't mentioned as a performer, not necessarily a wrestler, but just a performer in general, is Vince McMahon. The Mr.
Yeah, no, I
McMahon
mentioned
character
him. He's essential.
is
Yeah.
Austin doesn't have his run that he has without the ultimate foil, which is the devil,
Yeah.
basically himself and Vince McMahon.
And wasn't
Because
Donald Trump, when he
if
showed
you
up, wasn't he really on Austin's side?
well, Austin was mostly neutral, but Trump was against Vince, which made him automatically a good guy because Vince was, seen as the ultimate evil. Um,
Who was it that Trump punched in the head in one of those wrestling matches?
it was Vince.
Other,
He knocked
and
Vince
no,
down.
not
Beat
just
him up.
not. It wasn't. I'm not talking about the Vince one. That's famous. But there was another one where Trump put an elbow or something into somebody.
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I know that he took one of the worst stunners of all time from from Austin. So just so we're clear, Steve Austin has actually hit a Stone Cold Stunner on the two-time President of the United States of America.
Two
Just so we're
time, two
clear,
time,
that's
potentially three
happened.
time, three time. That is true. Oh, Booker T, man. Oh, Booker T.
Oh, Booker.
I've always liked him on the mic more than in the ring, to be honest with you.
Oh, Booker was great. He was just so much fun. Always
Yeah,
so much fun.
he was, and I mean, in the ring, he's a bit too gangly for me as far as being a wrestler. Even though I
Mhm.
understand people enjoyed Booker T, but I loved him on the mic. When he was
He
sitting as
was
a
good.
commentator, he was wonderful. Yeah, he was
He was
really
pretty
good.
good.
Yeah, I enjoyed him doing that, and another person who I think was kind of weirdly influential in that way, which people don't talk about much, is Jerry Lawler.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The
Yeah,
King. Jerry the King Lawler. Another one would be other we've mentioned him a couple times. Would be Heenan. Heenan's ability. He
yeah,
became his ability to be a chameleon was huge. We were talking about how with Vince even how he could kind of do everything. Well, Heenan was doing that before him, right?
yeah. That is true.
Heenan was a wrestler before he was a manager. He only p- pivoted because he made more money that way, basically.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a good thing. But Heenan could do it all. He could color, he could do commentator, he could be funny, he could be serious, he could be evil, just downright evil. He could take the bumps when he needed to. You could put your hands on him and didn't have to worry about it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Heenan doesn't get enough
And
credit even still.
yeah, no, I agree with that. Alan, yeah, no, Undertaker. That is true.
The
Definitely
dead man.
Undertaker. Well, dude, his entrances, just his entrances,
Yes, there's
are
nothing like it.
known. Yeah, they're known.
Nothing like it in the world.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
nothing like it in any sport, in anything. It's Undertaker, especially an Undertaker WrestleMania entrance, was a spectacle of its own. It was unbelievable.
It was. And listen to what his name's Mark, right? Mark Calloway or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, Mark Calloway.
And listen now because he's retired, right? And listen to him talk. And I've seen a couple of times he was talking with Mike Foley, and they were having some conversations, and he was talking to some other people. He's such a chill guy for being the Undertaker, but
He is.
he
Deeply Christian
actually,
man, the
yeah, yeah.
Undertaker.
But he was actually really surprised because um, it was his idea to go really, really slow. And I think it was somebody was kind of yelling at him about it. Maybe it was Vince or somebody else. It was like, that's too long. But he was like, no, no, I think I should go really slow, which he does. But he, even himself, was just couldn't believe the response to his entrances. Listen to him talk about it. He himself was just bewildered at how big the character popped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it shouldn't. There's no reason that character should get over, but for whatever
No.
reason, they found some magic formula.
Yeah.
Because when you break it down on its individual merits, the character's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous.
It
So,
is.
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
it's very strange. Very,
But
very
anyway,
strange.
there you go. We got some WrestleMania stuff here, which is cool. And who's winning the Cena? And is Cena still got smoke, or is Cody carrying him?
No, Cena's never been a great wrestler, but he's doing fine. But they're doing a nice slow pace. They're not doing anything crazy, right? Nice slow paced uh match. Cody's, doing a lot of the selling for him, but he was going to.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying
And
that Cena's a little bit long in the tooth now to do what he normally does. So, but
yeah,
and Cody's not. But anyway, let's move on here to non wrestling. Now, this right here.
X-Files reboot. Ryan Coogler promises really effing scary episodes.
Okay.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
no, let's talk about this for a minute. X Files was a phenomenon, without question.
It was.
It hit, it was perfect timing for it, and it lasted a long time, and people came to love these two characters. And by the way, a strong, confident, capable woman, that's how you do it, right? She's not a bitch.
She's not just a love interest or anything like
No,
that.
she's
She's no.
thoughtful. She's a little bit more by the book than he is, but that's the character she's playing. But that's how you do a strong female. Dana Scully. That's how you do that.
Yeah.
And we used to know how to do that. We've forgotten now because they're all bitches. And like Daredevil Born Again is a perfect example, right? Because every female in that, and it's mostly all females, right? They're
Yeah.
all mega cunts. And it seems these days we can't get a female that's not a bitch. We can't. To be a strong woman, you have to be a bitch now. That's the
That's right.
formula, I guess, even though it doesn't work. Whereas you have this just, I wasn't planning this point, but here is a perfect example of how you do a strong, intelligent woman right there, right? But nevertheless, the thing that worries me about this, they've tried to reboot this, they've tried to do little movies, they've tried to do little things, and they've all failed miserably because the
Yes.
time of X Files is done, right?
Right.
So if you want to if you want to redo the X Files, you're literally going to have to, as it says here, reboot it. You literally have to do a whole new crew and a whole new thing and try. I really don't think there's any desire for it, but you're going to have to do that. However, in this article, David Duchovny, Fox, who's vitally important to the success of the X Files, is not involved in the conversation at all, right? But Gillian Anderson, who plays Dana Scully, is on board. Now, the problem I have with that is, well, that's not a reboot,
No,
right? That's either a continuation or she's going to play maybe the Skinner role or something like that, which is fine. But you know, if you're going to involve her, you need to involve him. They did that and it didn't work. To be honest, I think you should just scrap it altogether and just do something completely new, an actual reboot. But to be fair, I really don't think you should do anything with it.
let it be.
Let
Let
it
it sit.
be. Let it be.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know if there's an interest for X Files right now.
Well, a part of the problem is a lot of this stuff has lost its mystique because of the internet, for one, and for two, because a lot of the conspiracy theories have come true. Like they've been proven true, so
That's true.
it starts to lose a little bit of its luster there. I think that's one of the big problems. Plus, there's just so much of this stuff, content like this out there that isn't, a formulaic episodic show, whether it's YouTube content or whatever. The itch is too easy to scratch,
Yeah.
right? So that's why I don't think you see like this big desire to make more X Files from the current audiences out there because they can
Right.
get it other places.
And of course, that's very good. Maple Chic. Jennifer Lawrence did walk so that Gillian Anderson could run. You are correct. Um, but actually, maybe you could do something like this. Just an idea. Um, Maybe what you do is have her like in a cameo in the first episode, right?
Right.
And have it literally what we've seen over the past 3 5 years, where every year they have like the government comes out and discloses more information about UFOs. This has been going on for years now, right? Even though the public doesn't seem to care, which is weird. But nevertheless, have her start out where literally she is in front of Congress and she's disclosing information about the X Files and the whole UFO thing, right? And have
Right.
it's out a public thing and maybe do like a montage of news reports and public opinion and that kind of montage thing, right? Then
Yeah.
she did her cameo, she's done.
Right.
And then maybe and say put that in 2020 or 2021 or something like that. And then jump forward a few years where the X Files is being opened up again, and you have a complete new team, and then it has nothing to do with UFOs anymore because that's already been disclosed. And all they're working on now is trying to understand the supernatural stuff, which was glazed over by the show. They would show
Right.
things here or there, but they didn't really. That was more of a monster of the week episode. The overall arcing for the entirety of X Files was aliens, right? So
Right.
switch it to 100% focus on supernatural and try to understand where that comes from and why. Maybe that would work.
Maybe. Maybe. The problem is with the other problem with the alien stuff is it's, kind of confirmed now.
That's
Like
what I
they don't
mean.
even really.
So just make sure you throw that away. The show's not about
Yeah.
aliens, therefore the disclosure in episode 1. This is
Well,
not about aliens. That's already out. We're going to do something
you
else.
could do okay, aliens exist, but what are they? You could do that angle too, and then lean into the supernatural because there's this idea that it's both,
Extra
right?
dimensional, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
extra dimensional stuff that could be interesting, and that you could do really cool stuff with because
yeah.
there's no rules outside the rules of this universe are not necessarily the rules of that universe, right?
Right.
Um, so you could do interesting things.
Sure.
I don't know. There's a lot of really cool ways you could go with it, but you have to have a plan
You
right
do.
out of the rip,
You need a
and you
plan. Yeah.
can't mess around with it.
And, the simple fact that they've tried to reboot this several times and it just didn't work. People aren't interested in Fox and Scully anymore. They're just not.
Right.
It is what it is. It was of its time and it worked, but it doesn't anymore. And the thing Ryan needs to understand. this Ryan Coogler guy. Now, let me go see who this dude is because he sounds familiar. But the thing you need to understand the reason why X Files worked is one, it was super slick, and two, it was clever. It was well
Right.
written. There was a lot of real clever stuff, and they had themselves a Bible. They knew, you
Yeah.
can tell from watching that series, they knew where they were going to go. Now, maybe they didn't know every detail of how they get there, but they knew where they were going. That's clear, right? What you just said is 100% true. They need to have a serious plan, and they need a writer that can be clever, slick, and interesting. Now,
Yes.
this Ryan Coogler guy, I don't recognize him. Do you?
No.
Okay.
He's been making a lot of stuff though, so we'll see.
Okay. I don't know who he is at all, but let me go check. He's a producer. Is he a director? Okay. He hasn't done a lot of. Let's look at his directing here. It looks like he's involved though. So let's see here. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. He did a bunch of short stuff to get attention. He got something. Never heard of it. Fruitvale Station. You ever heard of that?
I have not.
Yeah, I think I'd heard maybe a little bit about it being about race and stuff, which shocking. Um,
Uh-huh.
let's see here. Creed. Creed was pretty good. The original Creed was pretty good. Black
Yep.
Panther. Ooh, that was a bad movie. And Wakanda. Yeah, these are bad movies, dude. These ratings are not accurate. But they were phenomena.
I hear that Sinners is actually really, really good.
Yeah, so have I.
Really, really
Yeah,
good.
so have I.
Yeah.
So I don't know because I've heard good things about Sinners. Creed I've seen and it was great. Everything else, because the Black Panther stuff, I didn't watch the second one, but the first one, that was not. That's more like a 4.5. But it's the phenomena of it. The black community really embraced it and had fun with it, which is great. There's nothing wrong with
Right.
that. But as far as movie making, though, storytelling, that's pretty soft. But let's be fair. He had we know there was a lot of interference with him in anything he wanted to do because it's Disney. So
Right.
let's be fair with that. Because Creed is a good movie. It's a very solid movie. Sinners is getting
Mhm.
a lot of praise right now. So when he's allowed to do his own thing, it seems like he can do. So all right. So that's good. All right. Know who he is now. So maybe, but he's gonna have to bring in a writer team. They're gonna have to be slick and really smart and clever and all. This X Files, this kind of show requires really smart, good writers. It's just one of those things you can't get away with some soap opera romance drama crap. You need a really good writer for X Files, right? Or several.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
don't know. I wouldn't mind to give him a shot though. I'd check it out. Like I said, I liked his Creed. That was you ever seen Creed?
Yeah. Yeah, Creed's really good.
It's really solid. I mean, Sylvester is great in it. That
Well,
kid, I can never remember his name, but he did a great job.
Chester, they did it. They had Cena win his 17th world title. He now has
Oh,
the record.
yay!
He now has the record.
Can he retire now?
That he's retiring at the end of the year. He already
Oh,
said
good.
he was.
That's why they did it. All right.
Yeah.
Uh, good for Cody. Did Cody have to carry him real heavy, or was it pretty
No,
good
it was
match?
fine. It was a fine match, yeah.
Yeah.
No real problems there. Cody had a year-long reign or just over a year as champion. Cena cheated to win because he's a bad guy now. So,
Oh
yes.
yeah, that's great. That's great. Alan says Black Panther was okay. Blackula is a superior film. That is true. That is true. Yeah, no, Black Panther, I mean, I guess I could give it a 5, but I don't know, that movie's got so many lame things in it, dude. It's hard to give it a 5.
Yes.
It's really hard. I mean, Andy Serkis elevates the movie. Who's the angry black guy in that movie?
Um,
Same as in Creed. Same guy, same kid.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, that guy. He's a good actor. He did a good job. Um, and then everything else kind of sucked balls.
Yeah.
Other than the white ape though. Who is the actor playing that guy? He was
I
cool.
don't
That
know,
was
but
actually my
he
favorite
was
part.
good.
He was my
Yeah.
favorite part. But that, and when a movie comes out with people riding rhinos and it's not mega awesome cool, you got
Yeah.
problems, dude.
You messed up.
You messed something up because that should be, oh my God, rhinos. But no, nah, it's kind of lame. Yeah. But whatever. It doesn't matter my opinion on that because that became a phenomenon for the American black community. And like I said, cool. You know, um, my daughter she hated that movie so much, and she would often say "Wakanda forever," and then they made the second movie. They named it that. She
Yes.
laughed. She thought it was hilarious because even my kids thought that movie was stupid. That's pretty bad, dude.
That movie is stupid.
It is. Anyway, this Ryan Coogler guy, he's got skills. Well, let's see
Yeah,
what
he
he
can make
does.
something good. He can
Hmm.
make something good. He could make something good. But this is seen as last WrestleMania, allegedly. That's according to what he said in his contract he came up with. So we will
Hmm.
see. We will see.
Although it'll be interesting because this Ryan Coogler guy, he all his movies are about black people, though. Can he do other races?
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was worth talking about because it just, warning, Roger.
First look at female Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four.
All right. Now, a lot of people here, when the first teaser came out and they were talking about it way back and we got stills and stuff, you people in the chat, you were like, it looks pretty good, Chester. You told me that. And what did I say? I said, Disney's got to fuck it up.
Yeah.
Right? And you say, Chester, it's pretty cool. I like the trailer. The costume's cool. The setting is cool. The aesthetic is cool. And I was like, uh huh, sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now we have information. And the female Silver Surfer, which we've known about for a long time, by the way. It's like weird how the internet just noticed because they've been
They're
talking
back
about
in.
a female Silver Surfer forever. And we know we comic book people, we know which character they're choosing, even though it makes no sense at all. But that's the least of the problems right here. That's the least of it. The problem you have with this, which we've kind of already talked about, is the fact that you have Reed Richard is a cuck and he doesn't know what to do without his wife telling him what to do. That's a problem one. His wife is going to be a bitch, obviously. Johnny is sensitive and effeminate, and Ben Grimm's gay. So, uh, I fuck you. I was right. I guess. Can I say like that? Yeah, fuck you. I was right. No, Ladera's just leaving me hanging in the wind there. Maybe he's throwing beer at Cena on the TV. That's probably what's happening. But anyway, of course, yeah. The simple fact is, guys, you can't trust Disney with anything. People keep getting now. I used to be the one who did it. You guys know. You're right. I was wrong. But let's not. Let's stop. Let's stop beating ourselves in the head. Let's stop it. Right. And I'm calling for us just to stop because don't get excited about anything Disney does. Everyone was like, "Oh, Daredevil will be different." Nope, nope. They woked it out. It was horrible, incredible. They cucked Daredevil. They cucked Kingpin even more. They cucked out the Punisher for frick's sake, dude. Right? You can't trust Disney. I don't care about this Avengers Doomsday stuff. They got the brothers back to do it. I don't care. They're going to screw it up because they can't stop. They can't. They won't stop until they are stopped. It's that simple. We can't trust Disney. They will not put anything good out. It ain't going to happen. The only reason we got that Wolverine and Deadpool thing that people seem to like was because Ryan Reynolds had authority and he was able to ramrod that through. And the simple fact of the matter, even though I haven't seen it, I'm sure that that movie is full of woke, stupid, perverted bullshit because it has Ryan Reynolds involved. Am I wrong? Because maybe he's not as oddly perverted as James Gunn is, but Ryan Reynolds is a pervert, dude, right? So I'm sure that movie is full of weird, creepy shit. I'm sure.
Which movie?
Daredevil and Wolverine. I mean, say
Um,
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Not really. Not that I
Uh,
can think of
I'm
offhand.
guarantee it is. Ryan Reynolds is a pervert.
Not that I can think of offhand. The weirdest things are, uh, hmm, I don't know. It's been a while, so I have to remember actually.
I'm
But I'm
sure it
trying to think if
is.
there's
He's a
anything
little more
crazy.
subtle than James Gunn. James Gunn wants you to see it right there, whereas Ryan is kind of trying to hide it. But whatever. Other than the success of that, which is all about Ryan Reynolds anyway, everything Disney has done is bullshit, and it's not going to
Yeah.
change. It's not going to
No.
get better. There's no hope. There is none. None of it. This whole nonsense with Robert Downey Jr. Doom is stupid. It's stupid. It's once again, them taking a character they could do so much with and throwing it away. Think of how many characters, villains and heroes, over the years they have used to just throw away for a scene or the movie itself. Just think about how much they've wasted, how much material they could have ran with, how much stuff was broken, right?
Mhm.
They had frickin' Owens there playing Mobius. I mean,
Mhm.
you probably don't realize that he's Mobius, but that's who he is. And that's complete waste and ruin right there because they're like, oh, he's a weird looking character. Yeah, no shit. But
Mhm.
anyway, I have zero faith in Disney. Now, I know you guys were telling me that years ago, and you were right.
Yeah.
But it's weird
Yeah.
how everyone who was telling me years ago, Chester is good all suck, which you were right, is now sitting there saying, oh, maybe there's hope. What the hell's wrong with you? I learned my lesson. Why didn't you learn the lesson which you taught me? Hmm? I'm speaking to the universe, by the way.
The universe
I
itself.
am. But look how bad that looks, though, dude. Look at how awful
Yeah, it's
it
terrible.
looks.
Disney's CG is terrible. The last semi-decent thing they did was Thanos, and even that, if you look at it now, is not great.
No, if you look at this, it shows you that the hair, really, the bald thing was a good decision by Stan Lee
Yeah.
or Kirby. Maybe Kirby made that decision. But yeah, you want the bald head for the silver. I understand we can't have an attractive girl. We're not allowed. I get
Not
it.
permitted.
Not
Mhm.
permitted. But could you maybe have found a girl that didn't have the weirdest looking tits in the world? I mean, are they
Now you're
even
asking a
tits or are
lot.
they some kind of bizarre warped pecs? I don't know what these things are.
Now you're asking a lot, sir.
Yeah, I mean, who is this girl played by Julia Garner? Let me go see if I can figure out who this girl is because I don't know her. Do you know her?
No idea.
Yeah, Julia Garner. All right, well, let's see. Okie dokie. Well, they found another ugly one. Boy, they like their ugly girls. Look at the jaw on that one.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
And yeah,
she's
she
not
got no
attractive.
tits. Well, of course she can't be. You're not allowed to be attractive, dude. Um,
Game.
the look at the jaw on that girl, dude. Jesus. Is there anything that looks good here? No, no, you're not going to let me do that. Okay. Um, no, look at the jaw. Holy crap, dude.
Yeah, no thanks.
I mean, that usually would keep you out of cinema. That's her
You
jaw
would
is
think.
really extreme, dude. Huh.
You would
S-
think. But no, apparently in this modern era, we just have to have unattractive women everywhere. That's just how it is, especially with Disney.
And she's
Even
in this right here. It looks like she was cast to be the kind of dumpy kind of girl anyway. Which
right.
sometimes that's cool. You need that, right? I get that. But it's not like Silver Surfer needs to be attractive anyway. But I'm like, woof, that
Well,
is
no,
rough.
Silver Surfer needs to be Silver Surfer, which
Well,
is a
no, of
man.
course it needs to be a dude. But
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just outrageously bad, dude. It's outrageously bad. And the thing is, with her chest, either just flatten it out completely, or add a little to it. I mean, you got the CG there. This is just the worst non-breast, right? It's the worst situation.
Yeah.
I would think women would be upset by this.
They don't care. Only they only listen to ugly women for some reason.
Yeah, but
They don't
dude,
they
everybody
don't
likes titties. Women too.
no, they don't. These people don't like titties, Chester. It's very clear.
Oh, that's
You're
true.
not allowed to have tits in Hollywood. It's very rare that there's a girl with actual badonkadonks in Hollywood. There's a couple, but they're rare.
Yeah.
They're a rare
Yeah, but
breed.
this is an extreme case we got here, though, the way it works out in the motion capture. But Alan says she's a solid actress, which great, that's good, but bad casting. Well, she shouldn't be there as Silver Surfer, I don't imagine she's going to have much acting to do in the movie. It's probably going
No.
to be very short little sequence with her, really.
Yes.
I would imagine, but it's just yeah, it's pretty bad. And I got another thing to ask if you guys have noticed. I've noticed with a lot of video games and movies, everything is they're doing everything with their CG and their filter effects. So much of the stuff, it's very hazy, muddy. It's
That's
almost
on
like it's
purpose.
blurred. It's not clear. Why are they doing this? What is this trend?
They have to because it looks like shit. If they don't. If they make it nice and clear, you're gonna see all the problems.
Well, see, the video games are
All the
doing it too, though.
Yeah, they look like shit. This is what happens when you hire people based only on their race and shit like that.
Yeah.
Uh, they're not hiring people based on skill at all. At all. So, yeah,
Yeah. Well,
that's
because my
why.
wife and I were watching a clip because we noticed that Mila Jovovich had a new movie, and we've enjoyed her. She's a good popcorn film actress, right? Over
Yep.
the years, especially because not my wife, my daughter loves Biohazard, right?
Mhm.
Resident Evil, sorry. But and so we've seen a lot of Mila stuff. She's not really a very good actress, but she for what she does, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're watching this clip, and she's in this movie, this kind of weird post-apocalyptic fantasy movie with Dave Batista. Okay, so we watching it, and it's just showing a bunch of little clips from the movie, and the one thing we both recognize is how ugly that movie is. It's radically ugly, dude. I mean, the CG is bad. The whole background's a CG. It's muddy and hazy. You can't. Nothing is clear. It's such a hot mess. I don't know. Understand how you have two people who could put seats in the theater like Mila and Batista. They are known, right? And put them in such an ugly looking movie, dude. It's so outrageous. I don't know.
Almost like it's intentional.
Yeah, I know. And look how I just don't know what they're doing these days. It's really weird. Like that they have the new marathon game that's going to be dropping and the controversy around it. And most of the stuff what people are talking about is not really what it looks like. It's all the monetization and all the kind of nonsense that they do. Of course, that's coming out of Bungie. But the thing I noticed is it's an ugly ass game. Go check it out for yourself. Marathon. Of course, Concord came out as well. Ugly ass game, right? Something to Midnight came out. Ugly game. Super woke also, but ugly. Just ugly, dude. What the hell happened, dude? We had more beautiful things 20 years ago.
They don't care, Chester. They care about pushing they hate white people. That's really what it is.
Yeah, no,
They
I
only
get that.
care about pushing bullshit and pushing degenerates and pushing weirdos and creeps. They simply do not care about quality. And it's largely the audience's fault because we've allowed them to do it for so long. Allowed them to get away with this nonsense for so long. And it
Yeah.
seems like that's starting to change, which is a good
Oh,
thing.
they've lost billions, dude. Billions of
Yeah.
dollars have been lost. But whatever. This is the not just the people are focusing on this right now, but all the other stuff. This movie's dead, 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 and good, good. I mean, it's just outrageous that you can't do the Fantastic Four correctly. It's so simple. Go read the original books. Make a story based on the original story, the introduction of them. Do something right. A lot of people didn't like the movies that came out back. I'm not talking about Corman. I'm talking about the ones with Chickless in it. And
Right.
they're like, "Oh, those movies aren't good." Those movies were fine. They were fine. Now the second one with the Galactus being a freaking cloud is stupid, but that's just being cheap and dumb because they have no imagination. Same thing they did with Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. But overall that was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine. There was nothing wrong with that. Chiklis played Ben Grimm well. Johnny was correct with Chris Evans. It's weird casting. They don't want to give us just a straight up blonde girl, right? To play Sue. But what was her name? The girl who played Sue?
Jessica Alba. Talk about that
Jessica
one.
Alba. Yeah, it was fine. The guy who played Reed Richards was fine. It was fine. Do you disagree? Do you
Yeah.
think it was just this awful, horrible movie? I thought they were
No, it
fine.
was fine.
Yeah,
It was fine. Yeah.
yeah. Now I wasn't
It was
super
fine.
thrilled about the way they did with Doctor Doom because it isn't the way they should have done it. They don't know what to do with that character. They don't know.
No,
They don't
Doctor
get.
Doom needs to be bigger than Thanos. Period.
Yeah,
He's Doctor fucking Doom.
he is.
He's in Marvel. There is no bigger villain. He is the villain of the Marvel universe.
I'm
Period.
pretty sure in comics, Doctor Doom beat Thanos.
He does. Yeah.
Hmm.
Doctor Doom beats everybody. The
Yeah,
only one who stops him in one story is God. Literal
yeah,
God has to stop in and stop
yeah.
him.
The one above all. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. This is just more wasting money. And of course Pedro's all upset. He's all upset. Why don't you love our woke shit? All right. Anyway, now go ahead. Now, I've never used this website before, but I just love the story. Go ahead.
Jeff Bridges wants a sequel to his underrated cult classic. This headline's retarded. With 93% audience, Rotten Tomatoes score, but it probably won't happen.
Now, of course, he's talking about the dude.
Yeah.
Now, I love Jeff Bridges. Thundera loves Jeff Bridges. Most people love Jeff Bridges because name something he did that was bad.
Correct.
I mean, he's just one of those actors you can count on, right? His old man thing he did there with Lithgow was freaking spectacular, right? I
Yeah.
heard rumors that we will get a season 2 of that. I hope they do before they die. But anyway, um, and of course, the fact that it probably won't happen is probably true. It won't happen. But I thought the idea of it was great. Why can't it happen? Why
I have no
can't we
idea.
revisit the dude as an old man and see how his life has gone? Why can't we?
Well, I don't think that movie made a lot of money. Is probably the main reason.
Yeah, but that is the actual definition of a cult classic, dude.
Yeah.
That movie. Yeah. And all the actors who were involved in it are still alive, right?
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
Sam Elliott still around. I'm pretty sure John who's a big fat guy, really good actor, John something.
Oh, John Goodman.
John Goodman, you had the little Weasley guy, he's still around. We could easily put the team back together and see how they are, what, 20 some years later. I would, it doesn't, this is not important and it won't happen. I get it, but 25 years ago, but I love this movie. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. The dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's just, it's spectacular flick, dude. It's so,
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Um, it's one of those movies though that if you don't get it, you don't get it, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. That's fine.
It's just the way
That's
it is.
fine. A lot of movies are like
But
that.
yeah,
Um,
I can't imagine Bridges wouldn't want another payday. To be honest,
yeah,
because that's
sure.
one of those characters who was a meme before memes were considered memes, right? He's been,
Yeah.
yeah, the dude
Super
abides is one
quoted.
of
The
the
dude
oldest
abides, dude.
internet
The,
memes ever. In fact, it's up there with the oldest internet memes. The dude abides.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of quotables from that movie. And there's a lot of good stuff. Like I said, I think it would be a fun little salary movie. And they make those all the time, literally to get actors paid. Why can't we
Yep.
have a little salary movie dude, put some people, put together a fun script, and it could be a little diamond in the rough like the original was, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I know it's not going to happen. I just when I saw this, I was like, ooh, that would be nice because and like I said, everybody involved is still alive. I don't know for how much longer, especially with Sam Elliott. But you know, Roger Corman's Doom has the best Doom so far, as Alan thinks. I agree. Have you seen the Roger Corman Fantastic Four?
I have not.
Mm, yeah. Um, yeah. It was made just to hold the rights, is what it
Yeah.
is. Why they never released it, but it's got its charm, dude. You should go check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got its
yeah, I've
charm.
heard.
But I would love to see the dude still abides. I would be down for it. I'd be down for it. And of course, it's been 25 years. So the kid that he makes in the movie with the Nazi lady, uh, he would be an adult. So we could have, and of course, his son had never met him, right? Because that
Right.
lady just wanted, I'm helping her get pregnant, man.
Yeah.
You could have that story. Him wanting to meet his dad. And of course, all of his buddies still around are going to be involved in that meeting. You could have a fun little story,
Yeah,
right?
could be good.
Yeah. Anyway, nothing, but I just thought it'd be fun. Anyway, let's see what we got this week.
Anyway,
So let's go ahead here.
nothing.
Well, The Sinners.
Nobody's making money.
Sinners open this weekend, and it made a little bit of money. I don't think it's big budget. And this movie's getting a lot of hype, though. They are talking about it. Let me go over to the Rotten Tomatoes, which is always good because we can compare the idiots to the actual people who pay for movies. The Sinner, right?
Yes.
That's not that one.
Or no,
Yeah,
it's sinners, just sinners.
just Sinners. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that was Crossroads. Now okay. Well, there you go. The critics love it and the audience loves it. And that's over 5,000 verified too. All right. Now this movie is getting some serious hype. Cool. Good for that guy.
Yeah.
So this movie's getting a lot of hype. I'm sure it's made $30 million. I can't imagine the budget on this is too high, right?
Right.
So yeah, trying to leave their troubled lives behind. Twin brothers. That's always interesting. We had another twin thing where Robert De Niro was playing his father and himself recently. Anyway, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again. How many movies start that way? Only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Is this it's an action drama horror thriller? Okay. Well, I like those kind of things. Those are all
Yeah.
things I like. Um, do you know anything about this movie?
I have no idea about it at all, my friend.
Says the
In
music's
fact,
good.
the only thing I heard about it was mostly just random ads, like
Ooh,
on wrestling and stuff. They sponsored WWE for a while.
it's a vampire movie.
Interesting. A black vampire movie?
Hey, why not? We had we had
It's,
uh we had Eddie Murphy. He was a vampire,
yeah,
Jamaican
yeah,
one. Yeah.
yes.
Um, it could be fine. I mean, this guy seems to only do all black casts, which all right, fine. Uh, it's weird that a director would specifically care about one color of race. That is weird, but it is we know why this is. And only thing I've seen him do, all he does is black only casts. So all right,
Yeah.
fine, but it seems to be people are really enjoying it. I got to watch it. A black
Yeah, I
vampire
hear it's
movie.
good.
Yeah.
Even, our boy Drinkers liked it. I saw him on Twitter talking about it, so
Cool.
I hear it's pretty good. I
Yeah.
hear it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, Blade's awesome too. I mean, it's not like we haven't had black vampires before. We have. Um,
Yes.
but whatever it is, I just, it is weird that you only make movies with a certain race in them, dude.
No, he's
Uh,
racist. Call
I
it what it is. He hates
maybe
white people.
I've never heard him speak. I don't know, but
His
because
actions speak for him.
they, in a way, they do, don't they? Because I can't think of another director that only does white people or only does yellow people outside of them in their country. I mean, if you're in Iran, I kind of have a feeling all the actors are going to be Iranian or Japan or what have you, or Mexico, for instance. But in America, I mean, what person only has a certain race in their movies? George
Just these
Lucas,
people. George
Red
Lucas.
Tails.
Just these people, to be honest.
Yeah. But whatever. That doesn't mean it won't be good though. So cool. A vampire movie. Nice.
Yep.
And it's made a little bit of money. I don't think it's going to be, now that I know it's Warner Brothers and it's a vampire movie. It's definitely lower budget, right? So they might make their money. Sweet. Colorful Stage. The movie A Miko Who Can't What? I'm
Eh?
surprised it made that much money. I don't know what the hell this is. Animation and music. All right. Pride and Prejudice, 20th anniversary re-release. All right, okay, cool.
The
The
re-release of the 20th anniversary of it. Uh, if you go back up there, there was that King of Kings movie made a little bit of money.
Oh yeah, no, it
Looks
was
like.
making money. Yeah. Oh wow, it made more.
Yep.
Wow.
They had it in the
That
theaters.
well, this one
I hear
made is making money though. Good for them, dude.
I hear this is also really, really good. So,
It looked good. We talked about this way back when it first got they were first started talking about it, right?
mhm.
It looked good. I like the animation style. It looks like it's making money. I'll have to check it out. That's cool. But also with this movie, Mark Hamill voices a character in this movie, which isn't weird because Mark Hamill is a voice actor, right? A good one. Even though he's a lunatic, he's a really good voice actor. But he's in all kind of big trouble over there in blue. What's that? What's that? Blue Sky? Is that what they call it?
Who knows what it's
Yeah,
called?
it's like
Gay Sky,
the
more like it.
progressive Twitter. But
It's
he's
not
in.
though. They just all migrated over there. It was made by Jack Dorsey again. Like it's his project after he sold Twitter.
Oh, really?
And as
That's
far as I
interesting.
know, his plan was to put it on like the blockchain and make it so it can't be censored. Was the idea.
Yeah, I like that
But
idea. That's a good idea.
I don't know if that's panned out.
That's
We'll
no,
see.
well, obviously they're censoring everybody who doesn't have the same opinion. But Mark's been catching mega hell over there for him daring to voice a Christian character or a Jewish character, I guess.
How dare
But
he?
I mean, how dare he even? These people really, really have no self awareness, do they? I mean, not even a
No,
little.
no,
It's
no.
like,
They're very
why?
bad people.
Yeah, but why would you care? Because if Mark Hamill voiced, say, Mohammed in a movie,
Yep.
animated movie, you think they would say a word?
Well, they wouldn't, but other people would.
Probably. You're not supposed to do Muhammad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The double standards is absolutely out of control. But yeah, I'm glad it did. That's cool because I remember looking at it and I thought it was real pretty. I like the look of it. Neat. Let's see here. Wedding banquet. I don't know, some Asian thing. Bleecker Street. It's always, you know, auteur art drama crap. The Ugly Stepsister, IFC. Yeah, okie dokie. I bet you. Let me see here. Uh, Elvira. Is it our Elvira?
Wait, what?
Hold on a second. Follows Elvira as she battles against her gorgeous stepsister. No, okay. In a realm where beauty reigns supreme. What, ballet? No, it doesn't. She resorts to extreme measures to captivate the prince amidst the. So this is Cinderella. Okay. Um, it's a remake of Cinderella, and it hasn't made any money at all. Although it is in only 500 theaters still, it's made no money. But yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Ballet, they don't have to be pretty to be in a ballet at all. Beauty of movement, but beauty of face is completely unnecessary in ballet.
Right.
I know this because I have a ballerina daughter. Legend of Ochi. These movies are really Hollywood is struggling, dude.
They're not making money. They are not making a lot of money.
They're not. Hmm. Anyway, uh, yeah. Unfortunately, it's we haven't. This Sinners one. I'm gonna watch it. I think I saw it. Let me check real quick here. Um, I think I saw it on the Finnish databases the other day. Let me check. Do you ever use the Finnish databases?
No, I don't think so anyway.
It's pretty handy. I mean, they don't put anything on there until it comes out, like on Blu-ray or something like that. Um,
Right.
uh, but it's a library is what it is. Because in Finland, it's not illegal to share things. You just can't make money off of it,
Right.
right? So that's why you see these kind of music, comics, all those like just collected databases are in Finland because it's legal there. Let me see
Yep.
here, Sinners, right? I thought I saw it somewhere. Yeah, no, it's not out yet. It's not on Blu-ray yet. But it's probably on the other side though. Let me go check over here. Oh yeah, no, it's over there. Okay. I thought I had seen it before. All right. Anyway, cool. So, that's what I got today.
That's it. That's
That's
what
it.
he's got today, ladies and germs.
So
Germs and ladies.
I guess the last question I'm going to ask you before you take us out of here is you had a weekend of WrestleMania. Was it good?
Y- No.
No. Why?
No, it was it just wasn't good. Like the builds to none of them most of the builds weren't that good. If it wasn't for the last match of the first night, which is the one you were talking about with Rollins and
Right.
Reigns and Punk, that was just I mean, that could have been any episode of Raw, to be honest. There was nothing on there that was blew me away. Um,
You said a lot
and
of
this one,
people were in the stadium though.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And this one, the night two was better, but I don't know. It was very, very predictable, very form. Like there was no the even the Paul Heyman joining up with Seth thing was predicted pretty heavily by
I
most
see.
people, just because of the way the story was unfolding. Like, and that's a shame because last year, while there was a lot of predictability to it, it was good predictability. You know what I mean? Like when the story, it's hard to hit that mark
Sure.
because you want it to be unpredictable but also predictable because every good story ends with the good guy winning in the end, right? Or at least stopping the bad guy. So obviously most stories are somewhat predictable, but I don't know, there's just a difference between boring predictable
Right.
and satisfying predictable.
Well,
And this was boring predictable in my opinion. Like pretty much everybody knew Cena was going to win. Pretty much everybody knew that the people who won were going to win. Like I wasn't that surprised. There was only a couple surprises. Dominic Mysterio getting his first title was cool, especially the way he did it was really good. Uh, but other than that, there just wasn't a lot of like for me anyway. Now for other people maybe so, but for me there wasn't a lot of like, oh my god, especially following last year WrestleMania 40, which was one of the best they've ever done. Period. Not just WrestleMania, is one of the best shows they've ever put on
right.
at WWE. Uh, it just it was just
Well,
very
well,
meh mania.
the thing that's interesting about it is, um, what stadium were they in? Where were they? Las Vegas?
Vegas.
Vegas. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Vegas is a good place. Um, but I'm old enough to have seen the whole process, right?
Mhm,
And I remember the very first WrestleMania. And
mhm,
wrestling was on Saturday and or Sunday afternoons,
mhm.
right? That's where wrestling was when I was a kid. It was on the weekend afternoons, right? It was not prime time.
Right.
They actually, when you have to go back to the black and white days to where it was always prime time, right?
Right.
But it wasn't. It was it was in the afternoons. And what WrestleMania was a prime time wrestling event. That's what it was.
It's a big
Now,
deal.
it was. Now, by the early 90s, maybe even late 80s, wrestling had become a primetime thing with Monday Night Wrestling and various stuff like that. Today I guess they do it Raw and SmackDown, right? Um,
They have
but
Raw,
back in
SmackDown, and NXT.
Yeah, sure.
They're
But
all
back in
prime
when I
time
was
too.
young, it was on Mondays, I think. Pretty sure Monday night. So it went
Mhm.
and became primetime all the time. And therefore WrestleMania kind of lost its luster. Now this is why by
Sort of.
WrestleMania 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. Um, and but then they started adding other events like Hell in the
Right.
Cell, right?
Mhm.
The Money in the Bank. Um, what are some of the other ones they put in?
Oh, all sorts. They have all different ones. The next one's called Backlash. That's the next
Yeah, I've
paper.
heard of it, but
Well,
I
they don't
don't
even
know
call
what
them
it means.
pay-per-views. They don't even call them pay-per-views anymore. Well, it's after WrestleMania. It just means from WrestleMania
Yeah.
typically.
Well, and
But
that's
yeah, they have other spectacle matches too. So like the Elimination Chamber, Last Man Standing matches, just all sorts of stuff.
right. But
They kept having to up the ante,
well,
basically.
here's the problem. You mentioned pay-per-view. Now, by the mid
Hmm.
90s, they were really pushing the pay-per-view stuff, right? Even
Hmm.
earlier. And wrestling was definitely getting into it. But I recall, because I was not watching it as much, not until
Yeah.
my son got a little older. But I had a lot of friends that were really into it, right? Every week. And a lot of them, and me as well, I didn't pay for pay-per-view wrestling. Why would I do that? I can watch it on TV. And everyone was like, yeah, they're doing all these storylines and they're trying to make it must-watch TV type of thing. But most people complained that the special events were not as good as just watching it on Monday. Now, eventually, we started getting more wrestling. I remember, I don't know if maybe it was when was it SmackDown that came on, or what was the first one?
Raw.
Raw, and then the other one coming must have been SmackDown. Um,
That was WWE, WWE, well, F at the time, but
right,
then
right,
he
it
had
was
Nitro too
WWF.
before.
That's right. But my point being is, originally there were no pay-per-views; it didn't exist, and
Mhm.
WrestleMania was the only event I can remember them having, and it was just primetime wrestling, and that was the gimmick. There were no real storylines. It wasn't anything like that. You make sure you get all your big stars out there, of course, and they would usually go a little bit harder than they would during the week, right? Which
Yeah.
makes sense. One of the best ones I saw was, I mean, honestly, it sounds dumb, but Valentine, the Anvil versus Roddy Piper. I think that's who
Right.
it was. Yeah, those two. That was a brutal fight. Those two guys were not playing.
No,
Yeah, have you
they
ever
were
seen
very
that
serious.
fight? That
Yeah,
WrestleMania?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one. But that's what it used to be, and then it became too corporate, which Vince McMahon. And so now you're here today, and I hear kind of a lot of people the same thing that the events are just kind of lame, and they'd rather just watch the weekly stuff.
Well, that's the thing is when they do it well, it's not the case. But this Mania for certain, just I don't know. Nothing about it excited me. Even going in, there wasn't a lot of for me, and I think a lot of people, there wasn't a lot of hype. And it's just because all the storylines they had been teasing or people were expecting didn't really happen. They had to pivot or whatever, largely because I think The Rock couldn't make it. He wasn't even there. He wasn't at WrestleMania at all. After being set up at the last pay-per-view before this, or the last special they call him now.
Yeah.
Before this, he wasn't even there. Never showed up once.
Yeah, Greg
So,
the Hammer Valentine. Thank you, Sheik. Yeah, I remember that was a good fight. Did you see that fight, Sheik? That was a good one. Um, but my son really got into wrestling, and that was cool. So I watched it with him and enjoyed it with him when we play PlayStation wrestling games, which are actually pretty good.
Hmm.
He was really into it, so it was fun, and he loved the Undertaker, of course. So I would make sure to get a hold of the WrestleManias for him and a couple of other ones. But honestly, the only one we really loved and look forward to every year, the two of us, was the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
I love that
it's
one.
still my favorite. The
Yeah,
Rumble's still my favorite.
it's just the concept itself is fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
The dog collar match. Well, that's Junkyard Dog, though. Oh, is that? Oh no, was that the Greg Hammer Valentine and Ryder Piper the
Yes.
dog collar match?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they did
yeah,
a
yeah.
dog collar match. Yeah, yeah.
That was a good match, though, dude. That was a good match. Um, because Hulk Hogan was exciting. He just because he knew how to light up a room, right? But if you
Yeah.
really think about it, Hulk's wrestling isn't that fun. Not really. But he knew how to light up a room. He knew how to work the mic. He was amazing. But I always preferred to watch the better wrestlers anyway. Like Macho Man would do a lot more fun stuff in the ring, right?
Right.
But anyway,
No, Macho's the man. Sorry, I was
yeah,
reading
Macho was really cool.
Drew McIntyre, old Drew boy, last year at Mania, in the middle of his match, in the middle of a world title match, he had his wife give him his phone and he tweeted bored at work. Lol.
Lol,
Uh,
that's cute.
and then this year he had his brother give him his phone and he took a selfie of him and Damian Priest, whose ass he was beating currently, and it said the same thing. Still bored at work, lol.
That
And it
is true,
has
mate.
278,000 likes on Twitter already.
That's a cool gimmick. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Oh,
Because wrestling is a
McIntyre's the
lot about
man.
the gimmick and the selling. That's very important, right? But yeah, no, I have seen Hogan in Japan. You're right. It is better. I'm not knocking on Hogan. I just prefer like one of my favorite wrestlers, Dolph Ziggler. I mean, I
No,
love. Yeah,
Macho was the man, especially
he
in
was
that
cool.
time. Because you gotta think, Hogan was the guy, right? We said it
Sure,
earlier, the Babe Ruth of wrestling, no doubt. But Macho got right up there with him, at least for a little while.
he
They
did.
were they were pretty equal for a minute, and that's pretty impressive. Ultimate Warrior did it too. Both very impressive because other than that, Hogan didn't really have anybody who got up there with him, right? I
Yeah,
mean, Piper did a little bit, but not quite to the same level that Hogan got to.
yeah, no,
Uh, yeah, no, he just didn't,
yeah.
and
Ultimate
Macho
Warrior
got
was a
up there with him.
one-trick pony, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a big old flash in the pan. He was his own worst enemy.
He
Is the
was.
real reason he couldn't quit doing stupid shit.
I had one of my friends in my friend group when all this happened. Of course, I was a high school kid, right? And of course, we would get together during the week, and we would play D&D or Marvel superhero role playing game, nerdy stuff. And of course, we went to many wrestling matches in the Garden or up in Boston. Or in Providence or something like that. So we did a lot of that stuff together. And one of my friends, he was the Ultimate Warrior fan, and we started a new tabletop game, right? Because you know how it works now. And we're like, everybody's, oh, what kind of character you gonna play? What class you gonna do? What hero you gonna play? Or whatever like that. And we start working out every damn character he made, no matter the race or what, was the Ultimate Warrior. We all wanted to kill him.
That's funny.
And he would sit at the table and act like he was holding the ropes, going "Rrrr." Spaz.
That was one of the things that got Warrior over. Was
It
that
was.
that rope shake?
Oh
It was
yeah, yeah.
great.
That's all he had. I
Brilliant
mean,
idea.
the
Brilliant idea.
ridiculous amount of cocaine needed to move that man forward.
Yep.
It's
He was
impressive.
living on cocaine.
He
Cocaine and
was
well, more cocaine, let's be honest.
a lot of cocaine. But I'm just trying to say that these special event things just don't have, in my opinion, the same impact as they used to. And I think the reason I think is because they rely way too heavily on storylines. When I was younger, there would be like little teeny storylines here or there, but it wasn't like it is today. It's like a soap opera now, right? It
Yeah.
was like little background stuff that didn't matter. What you wanted to do was see a fun fight, and they had some little kind of story to say why they were fighting. That's it. These days, it's like frickin' years long drama episodes, like a
Mhm.
frickin' anthology or something. Um, I don't know. It just seems to be a bit much for me. I don't really care. And where did that start? That probably started with Triple H and what do they call them? DHX or DX something.
Yeah.
What was that called?
Degeneration X.
Degeneration X. I feel like it started there. The over storyline creation.
Could be.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. I would say the reliance on it, meaning that everything has to be some
Yeah.
large narrative.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think has been lost and needs to come back, I've said this for years, and this is what I think a lot of people wanted AEW to be, but uh, is there's nothing wrong with two guys having a match just to move up the rankings, right?
Yeah.
In kayfabe,
Yeah.
but that just doesn't happen anymore, really.
Yeah.
It's why, like, why can't that happen? And there always has to be some grand reason this match
Yeah, I know.
exists.
It's weird. It is
When
really
it when
weird.
we're are we supposed to pretend that this is supposed to be a competitive sport? Why wouldn't they have matches against each other if they're trying to
Right.
get a move up? It's like it'd be like having to come up with some reason why the Lakers are playing whoever the fuck, right? They're playing in basketball. Well, because that's what? Because of course they are. They have to. That's how this is done. That's how we have seasons. It's silly. It's
Yeah,
very
no,
silly.
I get that, Sheik. That it's always was there, but you know what I mean. It's overplaying the hand. And there was I can't remember his name. Please, Sheik, tell me his name. But there was for a while competing with WWF was another wrestling league that Hulk was in actually at the time. Was it called NWA? Maybe
No, WCW. Um,
WCW. Thank you. That
yeah.
dude that was in charge of that kind of normal looking dude. Um, he was much better at storytelling than Vincent McMahon.
You think so?
I think so. The story, I mean, because they were getting a little bit heavy with it. And I didn't like it so much, but his stories were better
Interesting.
for
I
me.
will say that the Sting versus NWO storyline, at least the first year of it, was some of the best storytelling in pro wrestling history. So good. It's so good. Uh, I actually rewatched it the other day. They have a on one of the WWE channels. I think it's the Vault channel. They have like a
Mm,
3 hour compilation of it, and it's just the whole storyline, basically from beginning to end. Just
right.
cut up into just those segments. You're not watching the whole episodes, and it's just so good. It's just so well done. And Sting doesn't say a word for a year. He says nothing. Uh, yeah, so well done. But
Vince
it's
Russo, Alan.
it's one of those things where I think they should lean. This is what I would prefer as a lifelong wrestling fan, if they
Sure.
would lean more into the sport of entertainment. Bring back rankings, bring back
Yeah.
divisions,
Yeah. Make
do all that stuff.
most of the time you can do your story
Yeah.
stuff too. It's always been there, but you're
Hmm.
right. There was a lot more of just the wrestling. You know,
Yes.
and
Structure.
Yeah, and that's what we want. We want
Yes.
good wrestling. Now having some emotion around it and stuff like that, great. And of course, we know it's choreographed and such, but if you make money for the company and you become popular enough, you're rewarded. And when we
Right.
see a worker
Usually.
be rewarded, we're happy for them, and they're happy about it, right? And we
Yes.
that's cool. We that's no problem.
Well, there is competition to it. It's just not as
Sure,
straightforward as
it's
people think. It's
different.
more like ice skating or something, right? It's based on judging, and like it's not based on a hard you scored a touchdown, therefore you win. It's a
Right.
different kind of
Well,
competition.
which is why people got upset about the whole Cody Rhodes thing because
Hmm.
Cody had worked hard and earned it. He was a moneymaker for the company. He put people in seats. He earned his accolade. And that's why
Yeah.
everyone got upset when and I don't even necessarily blame Dwayne Johnson. I think
Mhm.
he came in like a wrecking ball and thinking that, okay, I got to do something to make it better. I got to save it. And I think his intentions were probably pure. What he was trying to do is like, okay, I'll be the heel. I can do that. I'm good at that. I mean, he was probably trying to, help the situation. I
Yeah.
don't think it was malicious. But it just kind of was the wrong thing to do, maybe because he was a bit out of touch with what was happening. But everyone rallying around Cody Rhodes made it way more emotional because he had earned it.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Is it's very true. It was also this was a story that they kind of fell into because it was true about him and his dad, and it was just it had been the year before we thought it was going to be done, and it wasn't for
hmm
various reasons. So people were just like, no, no, no. We are invested in this
yeah,
now. Finish. Literally, the tagline was "Finish the story" because people wanted it done.
yeah.
And that was the right decision,
It was,
100% the
it
right
was.
decision, and it was honestly one of the best shows they've ever put on, not just WrestleManias.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool.
WrestleMania 40.
Yeah, but I mean, do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you think Dwayne Johnson had malicious intent, or he just
No, no, no.
he
He
didn't
thought
read
he
the
was helping.
room? Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
yeah, he
so.
thought he was helping, and it was, according to everything we've heard, it was his idea to pivot because he is a director of the board. He's on the actual board of the company that owns WWE, so he outranks Triple H.
Yeah, no, I
So if
know,
he
but
didn't want to pivot, he
yeah.
wouldn't have pivoted.
Yeah, and a lot of people were just putting a lot of malice upon Dwayne Johnson. I don't think that's
Yeah.
fair. I think he was because I think Dwayne, unlike a lot of actors, he knows where he comes from and he has a lot of respect for it. He
Oh
a
no,
lot
he
of
loves pro wrestling,
yeah, yeah.
no doubt. Yeah.
It's not only legacy for him with his family, but he knows where his bread was buttered. He knows that,
Yes.
and that's one thing I do like about Dwayne, even though he's catching a lot of hell recently.
Dwayne. The Dwayne.
Well, you know
I
what
don't
I
know
mean.
why he wasn't there. I know he's been filming some stuff. I'm assuming that's why, but it's pretty
Probably.
strange that he wasn't at Mania after the storyline they set up. But hey, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes.
Fair enough.
Now it looks like the rest of this year is going to be people trying to get the belt off of Cena because Cena, like I said, he's a bad guy now, and his storyline is he wants to take the belt and retire with it, so nobody else can ever be champion with that belt again.
Oh, of
That's
course.
that's the play. Yeah.
So who do you think's the person they're going to drop it to?
Either Cody will get it back from him, or probably Roman, if I had to
Jesus.
guess. Yeah. Because Roman ties in with The Rock and The Rock's really tied into it. So I could see him doing something there, but who knows? And it would be nice, it could help lead into Roman Rock because they want to have that match and everybody really wants that match. Roman versus The Rock at Mania next year, which is what people were expecting.
Well, you know
So
what
if
I
Roman's the one to
suggest?
stop Cena, then there you go.
What
Rock
I
comes in
what
to
I
handle
suggest
it.
is out of nowhere, running out of the crowd, Hacksaw
Uh-oh.
Jim Duggan with a 2x4.
Well, Jim Duggan's pretty old, bro. I don't know if he's running anywhere.
I love the old Hacksaw, dude. Anyway, you gotta take me out. I gotta go to
Oh,
work.
everybody loves Hacksaw. We're going to do this one because it's apt. Sometimes blessings hurt the most.
It's true. Namaste. Later, everybody.